darkness born of night, hunters of shadows bathed in dim light. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among secrets they keep. Nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. Ladies of the night with eyes of red, vampires in the alleys where good men dread, wolfmen howling beneath the pale moon. But justice is coming and coming soon. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep. Nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. Cryptids themselves, yet they stand tall against the darkness, answering the call for every lost soul, every whispered prayer. They fight for the light in the midnight air. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep. Nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. The night is young, the hunt begins. For against the darkness where hope never ends.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Nightmare Hunter podcast. I think I figured out what the mix-up was at the very beginning. I had everything set up for our show, and I don't know if I clicked the wrong thing or if it somehow glitched and threw us in, but it bumped us from the Nightmare Hunter studio on Unex into another show's studio, and I just had to force it back and then play our intro. But it played the intro to some show that I don't even know what it is at the very beginning, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? So we got it straightened out, and joining me in the studio tonight is Robbie Jed Rains. Hey, we already got a super chat from Bobby Singleton. Thank you, Bobby. Really appreciate that, brother. Yeah, Robbie Jed Rains is here. I think the snow has finally melted and things are back to semi-warm conditions in South Carolina. And we've got the man himself, Carry Pocket Doc Davis, playing with his wiener right here on live TV. It's a wiener dog, folks. For those of you on the radio, it's a wiener dog. Them's the jokes. Little Doc's waving high. So, boys, how you guys doing tonight? How the heck are you?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
All right, folks. In all seriousness, though, we're going to jump in. This is episode 402, Taken in the Wilderness. Real missing persons cases that point to something else. 6 Americans vanished without a trace. The patterns suggest they weren't alone. The wilderness doesn't care about you. It doesn't care how experienced you are. It doesn't care how prepared you think you are. It doesn't care how many times you walked the same trail, hunted the same ridge, or camped under the same stars. Because out there in the deep timber, those are places where the rules change, where they may not apply to you. Places where sound dies, where tracks vanish, and where dogs refuse to enter. Where people step off the trail and are never seen again. Tonight's episode isn't about hikers who got lost. It's not about hunters who just misread a map. It's not even about accidents, injuries, or just bad decisions. Tonight is about the cases that make seasoned search and rescue teams go quiet. The cases where rangers still talk about it in low voices. The cases where footprints just stop or never appeared at all. Cases where gear is found neatly stacked, sometimes miles from where it should be. The cases where bodies showed up in places that were already searched. The cases where the forest feels like it's hiding something. These are the disappearances that don't behave like normal disappearances. These are vanishings that almost feel like removals. A college student who stepped into a well-traveled trail and simply never stepped off. A child pulled from a tent without a sound. A runner who left no footprints in soft soil. A hunter who walked uphill in socks as if something was chasing him. A young man whose gear was scattered like breadcrumbs in a rainforest. And a father whose final words were cut off mid-sentence. 6 people, 6 different states, 6 different years, one pattern. No tracks, no scent, no blood, no bodies until they appear in places they've already searched. No signs of predation, no signs of a struggle, no logical explanation. Just silence, just absence, just the feeling that something reached out of the dark and took them. So tonight, we're not asking how these people got lost. We're asking something far more dangerous. What if they didn't? What if something in the American wilderness is hunting us? What if it's been doing it for a very long time? What if it knows the terrain better than we do? And what if it knows how to take someone without leaving a trace? What if the only reason we don't see it is because it doesn't want to be seen? This is the Nightmare Hunters, and these are true stories of people who didn't just disappear. They were taken. Doc, how about you take us into the first segment?
Well, how about, excuse me, the first segment is titled The Disappearance of Paula Jean Weldon. I'm sorry, am I disturbing you? 1946. This is from the Green Mountain National Forest in Vermont. The source foundations for this segment are the Vermont State Police Missing Persons File, Bennington Banner Archival Reports, testimony from Ernest and Myrtle Whitman, or witnesses, Glastonbury Mountain Historical Case Records, Missing 411 documentation from David Paulides, and local oral histories collected by the Bennington Museum. December 1st, 1946. It's a cold, gray Sunday in the Green Mountains of Vermont. The kind of day where the forest feels older than the country around it. Quiet, heavy, and waiting. 18-year-old Paula Jean Weldon, a sophomore at Bennington College, had just finished her shift in the dining hall. According to a roommate's statement to the Vermont State Police, Paula said she needed a walk. She needed the woods. So she left campus wearing a red parka, jeans, and sneakers. No pack, no flashlight, no cold weather gear. The Bennington Banner later reported that Paula was seen hitchhiking toward the Long Trail around 3:50 p.m. A local contractor picked her up and dropped her off near the trailhead. Excuse me. Multiple hikers saw her that afternoon. The most credible sighting came from Ernest and Myrtle Whitman, who later gave sworn statements to the police. They said Paula looked calm, relaxed, and confident as she walked north along the trail. She wasn't lost. She wasn't confused. She wasn't stressed. She was just walking. The last known location. The Whitmans reached their car. Paula continued deeper in the woods, and the last confirmed sighting, per the Vermont State Police report, was near a small wooden bridge about 3 miles up the trail. Now, snow flurries were beginning to fall. The temperature was dropping fast. And then she vanished. No one saw her turn around. No one saw her leave the trail. No one saw her return. She simply stepped in the forest and never stepped out. Now, the search that found nothing, and Paula wasn't reported missing until Monday morning, nearly 48 hours later, and by then, fresh snow had covered the trail. The search that followed was one of the largest in Vermont history at the time. Bennington College students and faculty, local volunteers, state police, National Guard units, experienced woodsmen, and bloodhounds from New York. According to the official search and rescue logs, the dogs never picked up Paula's scent, not even at the trailhead. No footprints, no clothing, no body, no signs of a fall, and no signs of an animal attack. The Bennington Banner described the search area as calmed to exhaustion and still nothing. The tall man in the woods. Now, during this investigation, multiple locals came forward with the strange reports documented in the Bennington Museum's oral history collection. Several hikers claimed they had seen a tall man following people on the trail in the days before Paula vanished. One described him as too tall to be normal, with a strange, stiff gait. Another said he saw a tall figure standing between the trees at dusk, unmoving and watching. And these sightings were never officially connected to Paula's case, but they were never disproven either. Now, one of the most unsettling leads came from a man who lived near the trail. His statement appears in the Vermont State Police Supplemental Report. He claimed he saw a young woman matching Paula's description walking past his property around dusk. Behind her, he said, was a tall man, broad-shouldered and moving quickly. When the man realized he was being watched, he turned and ran into the woods. Now, police searched the area, and they found nothing. The witness later recanted and then reaffirmed, then recanted again. Fear does that to people. But the detail that stuck with investigators was this. The man didn't walk away, he ran. Now, Paula's disappearance was not an isolated event. Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people vanished in the same region under similarly bizarre circumstances. Now, this cluster documented missing 401 and local historical records became known as the Bennington Triangle. People vanish there, people hear things there, people see things there, and the forest never gives anything back. Now, here's some theories that don't fit. Over the decades, investigators have proposed explanations. She got lost. She fell. She froze. She ran away. She was murdered. But none of these theories match the evidence because there's no body. There's no clothing. There's no tracks. There's no scent trail. No signs of a struggle. No signs of predation. No credible suspect. Literally no physical evidence of any kind. Now, the Vermont State Police case file remains open to this day, 80 years later. And the forest, well, the forest remains silent. Dun, dun.
I've heard about the Bennington Triangle before. There's a lot of people who've gone missing over the years up there.
So a tall man,
broad shoulders.
Broad shoulders. And see, I was thinking maybe it was a pale walker, maybe it was a Wendigo or something like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. What do y'all think? I mean, let's look at it from a forensic standpoint. Okay, Robbie, you've worked with tracking dogs. DA, you've worked with tracking dogs. Hell, Robbie, you had a dog. No scent trail. These bloodhounds couldn't even pick up a scent trail, which is highly unusual, is it not?
That's very strange, especially seeing as how witnesses put her on the trail.
Right. And within, I mean, if they had them out there searching within 48 to 72 hours, because the missing persons report was filed at 48 hours. So I would estimate probably somewhere within 96 hours, a bloodhound should still be able to pick up a scent trail, even through snow. Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a tracking expert outside my wheelhouse, but so there was, not only was there no scent trail, but there were no tracks, none. And I mean, let's think about this too. When I was reading this story, I was like, she picked a hell of a bad time to go out on a hike. Early December, 1946. That's during some of the shortest days of the year.
And if the hospital was telling her that she needed to walk, couldn't she have just like walked around the college where she went?
That's what I was thinking too. I mean,
would have been safer.
Why would you want to leave it almost? I mean, really, up in Vermont, especially, that's dusk. I mean, you think of the latitude that Vermont is located on. That's getting dark pretty quick, man.
What was it? 350 when she was headed toward. They was.
Yeah.
She was. I mean,
350. It's getting dark up there, especially up in the mountains up there. And just like here in Colorado, anybody's been around mountains, buddy, when that sun goes behind that hill, it gets darker than a coal miner's booty. You know what I mean? And so that's something else to think about. What about physical evidence? They never found anything.
Right.
I mean,
not clothes, not tracks, nothing.
No, this is not supposition. This is something that's confirmed in the search and rescue, the SAR logs. And then, that tall dude we were talking about. I don't know. What do y'all think that could be? I mean, they said it was a man, so obviously it moved like a man, but it had a weird gait.
Large, broad-shouldered. Part of me you know me. I want to think Bigfoot right off the bat, but maybe it was just a guy.
Maybe it was. Maybe she did just disappear. Challen says the unusually tall person being seen beforehand, then someone seeing her. Why didn't he yell for her if she needed help? Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if I saw somebody following somebody and I looked at that dude and he knew that he was being looked at and he booked it into the woods, I think I'd be like calling out to the person following and saying, hey, you got some freaking creepo on your six. You may want to get to somewhere safe.
Right.
DA, I'm sure you'll back me up on this because the cop in me automatically goes to the guy that had the property along the trail. Told something,
right.
And goes back and tells it again, recants again, and goes back and tells it again.
Right.
Immediately, that's red flags to me.
That's highly suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Well, the fact that it's still an open case means you can't FOIA it.
Yeah. So,
good point.
Just based on that story, that is a very interesting point. Why did he say that? Then recant his statement, then come back and say, "Yeah, it was what I said," and then recant again, and then go back and say that makes no sense.
That's highly suspicious, highly suspect, but also maybe he heard other people talking about the tall man, and he could have used that as something as a way to throw investigators off of his trails, potentially.
But other people reported seeing something in the trees.
Oh.
Remember?
That's right. Watching from
the tree line.
Never moving. And Long Queen just says, aren't there significant dogman reports from up in that area?
Yes. Yes, there are.
Because
that's not too far from Maine where the Palmyra incident was.
Right.
Yeah. My first line of suspicion went to the person that picked her up, obviously,
right.
But she was seen on the trail after that. So, okay, now that doesn't mean that he couldn't have circled back. He knew where she was going, knew where she, if he knew anything about the area, knew the trail, he could have went on and jumped on the trail somewhere down. And this is just, looking at it strictly from what could have happened other than a supernatural or a cryptid type thing. You look at it that way. If he knew where he dropped her off, he knew anything about the trail, knew where that trail went. If he'd walked that trail, he probably would know a good ambush site. Yeah. Maybe he was the tall man that the guy saw following him.
But you're forgetting the detail, Robbie. Over the next few years, there were 5 other disappearances in that same spot.
Dude, I was just about to say that.
All of them weird enough that they were profiled by David Paulides.
But that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Just this way, because we don't know any details about the other one, so we have to talk about this one because this is the only one we have the facts on. Could this have been just somebody like either the guy that owns the property or that guy that's just a park predator like that series, or is it something else?
Right.
It could be a serial. It could be a serial killer.
That's what when I read the 5 disappearances in 5 years, I'm like,
that's serial killer profile.
Yeah, that's a pattern, man, and that's what we follow is those patterns and those investigations.
So, is it possible that it could be a cryptid involved? It's entirely possible, but it's equally as possible there was a serial hunting there.
Well, and because on that up in the Pacific Northwest on that highway of tears. You know, they're talking about, hey, people disappeared in the same spot, gone like a fart in the wind, and now all of a sudden, you know, they're thinking, well, yeah, it could be cryptids, but could also be serial killers, could also be human traffickers.
This
Yeah,
one
totally could.
weird. This one's weird.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Because it has elements that could point it towards a human predator, but it also has elements that could point it towards something else.
100%.
There's weird facts about it on both sides of the spectrum.
I mean, you like the AZ say, you know, you could look at it from both, like you just said too, Robbie. You can look at it from both sides of the spectrum, and either one of those theories, because that's all they are, because it's still an open case and we got no physical evidence. Either one of those theories is entirely plausible.
Calvin says, I wonder if the dogs couldn't just pick up the scent or they refused to track.
Hey,
It doesn't say so. Now,
Because they should have got something at the trailhead.
mm-hmm.
and I saw somebody put something. If she was lifted up, the scent just kind of walk. That's true to an extent, but a lot of the scent particles, especially bloodhounds, because bloodhounds are ground trackers. If they had anything like a shepherd or a Malinois or anything like that, that wouldn't have mattered because they're air trackers. They get their nose up in the wind anyways. That wouldn't have mattered to a shepherd. It would have mattered a good bit to bloodhounds if that's all they had. And I think the reason they probably wouldn't have got a scent on the ground, because scent particles are still going to fall to the ground. Some of them, probably the vast majority, would be carried off in the wind if she was lifted up. But there would still be scent particles that would hit the ground, because that's just
Right.
Scent particles or anything, or a lot of times are, what's this dandruff,
Skin flakes,
skin flakes, and things like that that fall off your body.
lost hairs, like
And they're going to pick up on that scent regardless. But with the fact that snowing, that may have had something to do with that part of it. So without knowing what every dog they use, because a lot of times you get a tracking team out there, they'll have multiple dogs, and they'll do it just for that reason, because there's areas that shepherds can track in better than bloodhounds, and there's areas that bloodhounds track far better in than shepherds. So that's usually why they have multiple types of dogs in a track like this, especially for a missing person.
Well, search and rescue teams generally don't just use one dog team.
No, they'll use, and not everybody's going to have, like, just like I said, everybody's going to have the exact same dog. So I would be curious to know a couple of things. Number one, what kind of, if they strictly used all bloodhounds or had a mix. Two, like Calvin said, if the dogs refused to track, or if they just didn't get on scent. And
I would be willing to bet that they probably refused to get on scent, because that would make more sense. Or otherwise, they would have found something.
Especially if it was a cryptid, I would say, yeah, they definitely were probably.
And that may be something that's in the report that we'll never know, because it's open case.
You can't FOIA it.
Right.
But I would love to know the particulars of the other cases.
Thank
you,
you, Isabel. So why do you think that the tall man sightings were dismissed?
Same way they're always dismissed. Oh, it ain't no. That's just people being crazy.
Yeah, it didn't fit. It didn't fit the narrative, so they dismissed it.
It didn't fit the narrative, and they're like, "Well, there's no evidence of a tall man."
Right.
Well, there's no evidence of her either.
What do you think they'd have said if they'd have found 19-inch bare tracks? Not bare, as in barefoot, not bare as in
right, like humanoid tracks. Well, I mean, you could look at it if you're trying to. I mean, and as we do, we try to debunk it. Dude, she wasn't prepared for that kind of weather. She went.
It was just a day hike.
Yeah,
just getting exercise.
Yeah, she went there at dusk, and it started snowing. So, could one make the supposition that she got hypothermic, got disoriented as she entered into stage 2 hypothermia, and get that confused thing, and then maybe she went into a cave or fell into a ravine, even though they said I'm trying to be
You're playing devil's advocate, which is exactly what we want.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I ask all those questions and then I answer it with this. They didn't find a single shred of physical evidence after they combed the area to exhaustion.
And still haven't.
Right.
Correct.
Isabel's right. So I think disagreeing with witnesses is rude. You can question without just saying everyone who sees something is mistaken and doesn't know what a bear looks like when they live in the woods. Another fair point is we're not talking trails out deep into Mark Twain like where we were at. We're talking trails at the edge of town.
Right.
And she went missing in a populated area.
A very populated area. And Isabel, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Paradoxical stripping. That's part of your later stage hypothermia. That's when your body temperature is getting down 84 degrees or less. In this scenario, I mean, yeah, and that could have happened. And that's why I'm playing devil's advocate. So I don't know, man.
Josh Dalton says, Rob, you got to remember this is 1946, so canine programs were in their infancy. According to Google's, German Shepherds weren't mainstream in law enforcement until the 50s. Yeah, but they didn't. Search and rescue teams didn't rely on law enforcement dogs. They called in tracking dogs, and they've been using those for hundreds of years.
The Google's is wrong on that one because I was trained by Charles Kirshner, who was D.C. Capitol Police master trainer, and he was in that position in 1941. Or 1942, excuse me.
Yeah, they've been using bloodhounds for many years.
Yeah. Now, certain agencies might have been in their infancy. Maybe this one was in its infancy, and because canines are not utilized here in America like they. Canines are used overseas, like we DA and I use a taser. If somebody, an officer overseas, tells you to leave a place one time and you don't leave, and they've got a dog, the next sound you hear, if you don't obey them, is going to be the sound of that dog's jaw snapping shut on whatever part of your body it can get a hold of. And you're not going to, judge is going to look at you and say, well, you should have left.
Yeah.
They utilize dogs a lot heavier over there. We don't use them that way because, well, we're not getting into that, but you know where I'm going with that. But they were still being heavily used, especially in bigger areas. Now, like I said, that particular agency may not have, but this is not from the way I read this was a SAR tracking unit, not a police canine tracking unit. And those were not in their infancy. Those have been using tracking dogs like that way longer than law enforcement's been using canines. So,
okay, boys, I got a question for the two of you, and any of y'all in the chat, feel free to chime in on this and answer this question as well. But do you think she was targeted, that something was following her that was just opportunistic, or she just got lost?
Personally, it sounds to me from the accounts, from the eyewitness accounts, everything, I think she was targeted. I think she was spirited away.
That would be my take on it.
Well, she was wearing a bright red parka. So,
right,
she should have been easy to find.
Even
if she had fallen in the snow it said flurries. It didn't say heavy snow accumulation.
Or even if she
part of that red parka would be visible.
Right, or even if she got hypothermic and stripped that sucker off,
they'd have found it somewhere.
They had to found it somewhere.
But they didn't find any trace of her gear, of her, no footprints. So to me, I can see why this was a missing 411 case, because it is definitely, fits the weird abduction.
Yeah,
the weird abduction model.
That's where I go to. There's weird things on both sides of it, because you can say, okay, well, they didn't find any of her prints because she was picked up. But if a person picked her up, then where's her, whoever's footprint?
Yeah, a person would have left some sort of sign,
and
be it a broken twig, a footprint, You can't walk through an area without leaving something.
True. And also, if this is a very popular trail, those prints would blend in with all the other prints out there from all the other hikers going on their little day hikes and all that kind of jazz too.
So I'm thinking the tall man, whether it was a human or a critter, probably picked her up, took her out of the area. Probably much deeper out into the woods. But that's just my kind of take on it. So, whatever happened to her, we're probably never going to know. But there's definitely definitely weird abduction vibes in this one, at least.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's things on both sides, but I lean towards something more than just a person because there's just.
I would agree with that.
But there's
I
still
would definitely agree with that.
there's enough
Sorry, had
there.
Doc.
There's enough there to where law enforcement and search and rescue and people like that. There's enough there where they can keep it on the side of, she was abducted and taken by human trafficker, which I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was such a big, especially in a small rural area like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that that was as big a thing as it is in 1946.
It would probably be more along the lines of it was a serial killer back then, but
this was just at the end of World War II.
Yeah. So, but I like I said, I think there's enough that they're able to keep it in the realm of that just because of certain things. But I think there's more to it than that.
Oh, I would definitely agree.
I agree.
But folks, Paula's disappearance was just the first major case in what would become the Bennington Triangle. But it wasn't the last time someone vanished under impossible circumstances. 31 years later, in the forests of Arkansas, Wyatt, this is right down near the bayou, a young boy would be pulled from a tent without a sound and never seen again. Robbie, you want to take us into segment 2?
Segment 2, the Dwight Bo Taylor disappearance from 1977. What was that? How was that pronounced again, DA?
Wichita
National Forest, Arkansas. Child pulled from his tent without a sound. Sources are
something oddly familiar about the Wichitas.
Mm-hmm.
Source foundations that are verifiable. Excuse me. These documents origins of the case: Garland County Sheriff's Office Missing Persons Report, 1977. Arkansas Gazette archival coverage, June to July of 1977. Wichita National Forest Ranger statements, FOIA release summaries, family testimonies recorded in local interviews, Hot Springs Sentinel, Missing 411 documentation by David Pilates, regional oral histories collected by Garland County Historical Society. This case is real, the details are documented, and the implications are terrifying. The Wichita National Forest is one of the oldest, wildest stretches of woodland in the American South. Rolling hills, dense pine stands, rugged ridgelines that swallow sound and scatter light. In June of 1977, the Taylor family, Dwight Sr., his wife, their 4-year-old son, Dwight Bo Taylor, set up a camp near Quiet Creek, deep inside the forest. According to the Garland County Sheriff's Office report, they arrived mid-afternoon, pitched their tent, cooked dinner, and settled in for the night. Nothing unusual, nothing strange, just a family camping trip. But sometime after midnight, everything changed. The night of the disappearance. The official timeline comes from the mother's statement to the sheriff and the sheriff's report. Around 2 a.m., the forest went silent. No wind, no animals, just a steady breathing of the family asleep in the tent. Then the mother woke up. Not to a sound, not to movement, but just a feeling. She later told investigators she felt a presence near the tent, something large and something close. She sat up and listened. She didn't hear anything. She reached for her son, and he wasn't there. The sleeping bag was empty, still warm, still shaped like the small body that had been inside it moments earlier. The tent flap was open, but there had been no sound, no scream, no struggle, no tearing of fabric. He was just gone. The drag marks. The father grabbed his flashlight and ran outside. The beam cut across the clearing, catching something in the dirt. Drag marks. This detail appears in both the sheriff's report and the Arkansas Gazette of June 1977's coverage. Small heel marks, a child's, trailing away from the tent. But here's the part that investigators couldn't explain. There were no animal tracks, no paw prints, no claw marks, no sign of a predator. Just the drag marks and something else. Large impressions, deep, wide, human-shaped, but too big. Sheriff's office never officially classified them, but the deputy on scene described them as not consistent with any known wildlife. The silent forest. Search teams arrived before dawn. Rangers, deputies, volunteers, and bloodhounds. According to the Ouachita Ranger statements, the dogs followed the drag marks for about 40 yards and then stopped. Not because the trail ended, not because the scent faded. They stopped because they refused to go any further. Handlers tried to coax them, pull them, and encourage them. The dogs just sat down and whined. They wouldn't move. This detail appears in both the FOIA released ranger notes and the missing 411 documentation. Whatever took Bo, the dogs wanted no part of it. The search that found nothing. For 3 days, the forest was combed by sheriff's deputies, state police, national forest rangers, local volunteers, and tracking dogs from 2 counties. They found no blood, no clothing, no body, no animal sign, no human suspect, no evidence of a fall, no sign of drowning, no sign of a struggle. The drag mark simply ended at a patch of disturbed soil and then nothing. It was as if Bo had been lifted off the ground and carried away. The child's testimony. The most chilling detail came from the mother's interview with the Hot Springs Sentinel. She said her son had been uneasy all evening, kept looking at the tree line, kept asking about the big man, or kept asking if the big man was going to come back. When she asked what big man, he said, the tall one, the one in the trees. She assumed he was imagining things, a child's mind, shadows in the forest. But after he vanished, that detail became impossible to ignore. The unofficial ranger theory. Off the record, one ranger told a local reporter, quoted anonymously in the Arkansas Gazette, that case reminded him of older stories from that region. Stories of something large, something upright, something that could move silently through the woods, something that could take a child without waking the parents. He said, whatever took that boy, it wasn't a bear. The case that never closed. Bo Taylor was never found. Not a bone, not a scrap of clothing, not a single trace. The case remains open, unsolved, and unexplained. And as we said before, the forest remains silent.
Man, that messed me up. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
That was a lot more straightforward and
Yeah.
Right, dang, man.
details.
All right, boys, bear with me a second. Parents are asleep, kids asleep. Probably between the parents. That's where we put our kids when we camped.
Jesus.
Okay, kids asleep in the sleeping bag. Something with a big hand like a Bigfoot grabs the kid's entire face.
Yep.
Kid can't make a sound. Just lifts him straight out of the sleeping bag and out of the tent and is gone. To quote Doc, like a fart in the wind.
And he is. Man, that's just holy crap. I mean,
but the heel marks, I would say he grabbed him and probably dragged him out of the tent and then got him out where he could scoop him up and gone.
Up in the trees. Because they didn't find any more tracks after that. They didn't find
the dogs, this time it flat out said it, the dogs refused to track.
They just stopped.
That part is in the official report too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's well documented by credible sources. That's not hearsay. That's not, well, Jim's brother's uncle's brother's girlfriend's, bait shop on 49 and said that. No, that was in a verifiable report. And I'm gonna tell you this, dude, and I know y'all too, as parents. I mean, it's and somebody else said it, Chad. It's sad when anybody disappears like this, but my God, it's as a parent, that just hits me hard, dude. Thinking about that, as a grandparent, thinking about my little baby Buck or my little Kent getting jerked out of a tent and gone. Whoo-wee.
Hillary said, were their heads positioned toward the front of the back of the tent? I always slept with my head toward the front, what I always did. But it didn't say.
Based on the fact that there were heel drag marks dug into the ground, I would say they were sleeping with their heads towards the front of the tent. Because if
could have been,
they could follow my line of reasoning, thinking about DA's, what he just stated, if it reached in and grabbed him by the head and pulled him out, what's gonna be in contact with the ground? If he's sleeping on his back,
if you're grabbing something by the face, it's going to be the heels that are following that are going to be following the track out. Dr. Short, that was in 1977.
I was 7 years old, so I was probably in the ballpark of the age of that kid.
I was 6, so I was right there.
I was 5.
Yeah, that's funny. 7, 6, and 5. Yeah, that was that's right before my birthday, because my birthday's in August.
And, not so much as a drop of blood, no clothing, no body.
Nothing.
And that's documented. They didn't
Nothing.
find a thing.
And what's funny is it says, "Oh, they didn't find any predator tracks." I'm like, or did you?
But they said they found a big white humanoid tracks.
Right.
Well, think about it. If something like
Yes,
that,
you did find predator tracks.
but
Exactly.
if something like that's in the area, you're not going to find any other big predator tracks.
That's
'Cause
right.
That's right. They're going to stay out of that area.
You ain't
Well,
gonna find no wolf tracks, no coyote tracks, no bear tracks, no nothing like that.
because they're going to be GTFO, man. They're going to get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then what creeped me out when Robbie read that, I literally got chills, dude, about that little boy had been talking to his mama. Is that tall man going to come back?
To me, that would have been okay, tell me what you saw.
Yeah, I would have. If my kid come up to me and said something like that, I ain't going to just be all dismissive. I'll be like, say what?
And Dr. Rothstein said in '77, who knew dogs would refuse to track? It had already happened, because what year was Legend of Boggy Creek? That
72. 72.
And that
Actually, the movie was made in 72, but I think the event started in the late 60s. But Legend of Boggy Creek is right down there at the edge of the Ouachitas.
Yep. And dogs refused to track there too.
Dang sure did. So yeah, that is crazily close to Boggy Creek.
So that could have been the Fouke monster.
Well, the Ouachitas are right down there. The Ouachitas are right down there where around Durant, Oklahoma, Brown Creek, where the Light Horseman War was. All that's in the Ouachitas right down there.
Well, we speculated that, there could have been Gugway in that area, or still could be Gugway in that area.
Yeah. Certainly enough habitat to support it.
Yep.
And what was it the ranger said? Something about stories of other people going missing in a similar fashion?
Yep. And he said, whatever took it wasn't a bear. Which, I mean, if a bear had reached in there and grabbed a kid, there would have been blood, because it would have reached in there with its claws and got him. The tent would have been ripped.
And it wouldn't have been able the kid probably would have screamed, because even if it had reached in and grabbed him by his mouth, because that's what happened up here in Wyoming a few years back. Dude got awakened. He heard a scraping sound, and it was the bear's canine scraping off of his skull as he had reached through his tent and was ripping him out by his freaking head.
Jeez, Hope.
Yeah,
that's lucky.
Yeah, that's very lucky. But I mean, like Robbie said, there would have been blood.
Yeah.
And she said Mom said when she looked up, the flap was open, not ripped, but open.
That means there's something with dexterity.
Yep.
Right.
Something opened that tent, reached in and grabbed him.
Bears and mountain lions don't undo the tent flap.
No, they just rip through your canvas or nylon or whatever material it is.
Jojo Taylor says the kid was probably in shock, unless it did exactly what I was saying. Reached in and cupped its hand over his whole face, so he couldn't make a sound.
Yep. That's some creepy crap right there, homie.
By the time the kid realized something had him, he was in the woods.
That's disturbing.
Isabel says no cry says something that was aware of how to neutralize somebody.
Well, if it did what DA was talking about, that's pretty effectively neutralized him.
That's pretty
Exactly.
Well, you think about something that big and how big. I mean, look at the handprints that we've seen on the one that DA saw on his, that I saw too on his car. Literally was like that.
That was a big old handprint.
Good Lord.
I mean, and you think this kid's 7 years old? Very easily, it'd be like palming a cantaloupe.
I mean that palm, just the palm itself, not the fingers. The palm of that thing could have covered that kid's whole face.
Well, look at NBA players who can palm a basketball. My hands ain't big enough to do that. But if you put that into something that's say 8 feet tall and 1,000 pounds, yeah, it's going to palm a human head pretty easily, especially a kid's head.
Darcy Den just had a good point. It could have broken the kid's neck when it grabbed him either, which would have made no noise either. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little
that-
snake.
Doc, the question about that, and I'm not saying that didn't happen, but if that had happened, would his legs not have been too limp to make those drag marks like he was digging his heels in?
Now, I mean, if he had enough weight on the legs and depending on the angle, there's still going to be drag marks.
Well, if it didn't just snap his neck, if it just grabbed him and cupped his mouth so he couldn't scream, the kid would have resisted. I'm surprised that the kid didn't kick one of his parents on the way out. Or
Right.
we might be overstating it. Maybe the kid just didn't want to wake his parents up and got up to take a leak. And
Yeah, or yeah, that's it. Yeah, he could have done that, or it happened so quickly and so suddenly that he didn't even have a chance to kick his parents because he was in such a sound sleep.
yeah,
I mean,
it snatched him so quick.
we're like
He didn't have a chance.
we're theorizing like this, I mean, there's
Well, yeah, that's all we can do. I mean, nobody knows for sure.
absolutely, yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah, we're just postulating things that make the most sense.
yeah, man,
Well, though this one has zero feel of any kind of human involvement.
no,
Especially them describing the oversized bear human-like tracks.
yeah, that's predation right there. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it, because, and even it's funny because the accounts that DA had read, and when he put it into the Wild Hunt, the Team Odin, the Wild Hunt books, the Wachita is known for extremely aggressive cryptids.
Yes, it is. And Hillary, the drag marks were outside the tent.
And went for, what did it say, about 12 to 20 yards or something like that?
Something like that. Like it had dragged him into the woods and then gone. Probably up a tree, would be my guess.
That's a common theme we're seeing, isn't it?
Yep.
With these cases.
And that's a big red flag to me that the tracking dogs would not
That's huge.
refuse to track it.
That's
Because
huge.
they're not afraid of humans. We've had coon dogs who are not particularly the biggest dogs on the planet, but we've had coon dogs just tear up after a bear and not afraid of that bear in the slightest. We lost a coon dog to a mountain lion, but they were all attacking that mountain lion. But they're not afraid of that. What scared them? Because they're not afraid of people.
Right. I mean, Dr. Sharp Ross saying, how did know the kid was in deep sleep? I don't know, man. I'm just taking a wild guess. He could have been snoring. I mean, if somebody's snoring, they're pretty deep. And I know kids snore. My dog snores.
Or it could have been listening to your breathing, because your breathing changes when you're asleep.
Yeah.
It could have just squatted down outside the tent and waited for everybody to be at deep sleep and just went poof.
Yeah. Or like Hillary just said, so he could have been lured out, or like you said, he just got up to go pee and got snatched. That is just heartbreaking, man. Good Lord.
No, I could not imagine that.
PW said they had lost a child, and I am so sorry for that. My heart goes out
I
to
am
you,
sorry.
but not for banishing. The thought of losing a child is one of the most heartbreaking things I think a parent could ever talk about. And these parents, I mean, not only, I mean, it doesn't make it any less tragic, but the fact that the child never has been found, the case is still open. I mean,
they'll never get the closure they need to move on past that.
That's exactly what I was going.
Well, if they were adults in 77, yeah, I'd say both the parents are gone now, because if they were adults with kids in 77, that would put them my parents' age.
Yeah, they'd put them my parents' age too, and both my parents have passed, sadly. But I mean, Robbie, I don't know. Is your mom and dad still?
My mom, stepdad, and dad are alive, but still, I mean, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It depends, because my mom had me when she was young, so.
I mean, if that kid was alive today, he'd be in his 50s like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be roughly the same age as us, man.
Right.
That's crazy.
Arkansas Hog Hunter Dan says, I used to hunt that area, and not everything is mean down there. Even hogs and bear are more aggressive there. I always felt uneasy when I was in that area. I felt like being watched by an evil presence. I've driven some of the back roads in that area. I've driven her all around Falk. When my wife likes to go to the casino at Durant, and I've gone driving back roads. Well, she was gambling because I don't like gambling and I don't like the smell of cigarette smoke. So I would just go do my own thing. Well, and I tell you, that's some creepy roads back there. In that area.
If y'all remember when I went down to Texas, we stopped off in Texarkana, and William Lunsford took us out the Sulphur River bottoms along a lot of the places where Legend of Boggy Creek was filmed. He took us to one little boat ramp, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not the creepiest place, but it's one of the top 3.
Was it like Combs Ferry creepy?
It below Combs Ferry, but it was just, I mean, it's just something about those river bottoms down there. I mean, just even in the truck riding to the place and looking out and seeing it out to your left as you're driving down the road, it's just something just looks different about the place.
You could feel it.
When Annette and I drove through there, we were driving some of the back gravel roads, and I stopped to turn around because we were getting way out in the boonies. So when I stopped to turn around, I pulled into a driveway and was backing out. And Annette goes, "Look at this place." And I stopped and looked around at the woods. She goes, "You could step off the road and nobody would find you."
Yeah.
I mean, like thick, right up to the road kind of woods.
Right.
Way worse than Blunk Road. Blunk Road's like driving through a tunnel, but some of those back roads down there outside of Falk, I mean, it was thick.
Miss Lene, no date yet. No date yet. I'm waiting. Luca did my ebook stuff, and there was a couple of little things had to get fixed in there. Once she sends that back to me, Robbie's going to help me. DA's going to help me get the Kindle Direct publishing stuff done next week. And I don't know, how long does it usually take, Robbie, you said?
It can take up to 72 hours once you get everything.
Usually doesn't take that long.
So
once you get it submitted and they've approved everything as far as that submission, then it'll go through the actual preview. And they say it can take up to
print takes longer than Kindle.
Yeah, hoping to have it ready. Hopefully, if all goes well, next week, next Saturday. So maybe Valentine's Day.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, Valentine's Day release. That'd be cool.
Well, boys, we are at a point where we need to stop and pay the bills. We got to take a quick pause to hear some words from the sponsors of the channels, and pay the bills for the UNX network as well. So, folks, this is a great time to top off your coffee, grab a soda, stretch your legs, hit the bathroom, whatever it is you need to do. We will be back in just a few minutes after some words from our sponsors. So thank you, folks, for sticking with us, and we will be right back with you.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from UNX Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unxmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unxmedia.com or amazon.com.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DARoberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview, Man. From the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the dead rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and Man's Marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of DARoberts.
And we are back, folks, and we're going to jump right back into this. Boys, this particular one with the kid really kind of, as a parent, it really kind of gets with me.
Yeah.
It gets to me.
Same, man.
Yep.
Same.
We're here.
Yeah.
But, that one, yeah, they're just going to get weirder from here on out. Doc, you want to run us into the segue into segment 3?
I was just about to ask you if you'd like me to do that. I'd be happy
Introduce us to segment 3, and I'll take segment 3.
Sounds good. So, as DA said, Bo Taylor's disappearance shook the region, and I mean, it shook the viewers in our chat, shook us. But it was not, unfortunately, the last time somebody vanished without a trace. Decades later, on the opposite side of the country, an experienced trail runner would step onto a familiar path and simply never return.
This is the disappearance of Brian Ward. Happened in 2013 in Mount Hood National Forest in Oregon. A runner who vanished mid-trail, no tracks, no scent, and no sound. The sources for this, the case is this case is built from documented, publicly available sources: the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office missing persons reports from 2013, Oregon State Police search and rescue logs, local news coverage from the Oregonian, KATU, KGW from 2013 to 2014, interview with the Ward's family and friends, publicly aired segments, and the Mount Hood National Forest Ranger statements, which were FOIA summaries. These were also documented by the Missing 411 cases by David Pilates, and the Trail Runner Community Reports and several of the Trail Runner magazines also did articles about that. This is everything that we're about to talk about is grounded from those sources. That's where this story comes from. Mount Hood is a place of contradictions. It's beautiful, but incredibly unforgiving. It's popular, but it's vast. It's a mountain where thousands hike every year and where people still vanish without a trace. On a cool September morning in 2013, Brian Ward, a 33-year-old experienced trail runner from Portland, laced up his shoes, grabbed a hydration pack, and headed out for a run on the Zigzag Mountain Trail. According to his family's interview with the Oregonian, Brian ran this trail almost every weekend. He knew the switchbacks. He knew the ridgelines. He knew the weather patterns. He was fit, prepared, and familiar with the terrain. He told his girlfriend he'd be home by early afternoon. He never made it. The last known contact with Brian was when he parked his car at the trailhead around 9:15 a.m. This was confirmed by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office report. A pair of hikers saw him heading up the trail shortly after. They described him as relaxed, smiling, moving at a steady pace, not carrying any heavy gear, and didn't appear to be lost or distressed. This was a normal run, a normal day, nothing unusual. But somewhere between mile 3 and mile 5, Brian Ward just vanished. Around 3 p.m. when Brian didn't return home, his girlfriend called the sheriff's office. Deputies located his car at the trailhead. His phone was found face down in the mud about a quarter mile up the trail. This detail appears both in the sheriff's reports and in KATU's television coverage. The phone wasn't broken. It wasn't dropped during a fall. It looked like it had been placed there, as if someone or something had just set it in the mud. The ground was soft from recent rain, perfect for tracking. But according to the Oregon State Police search and rescue logs, there were no footprints, no drag marks, and no signs of a fall. No sign of an animal encounter, and no indication that he left the trail. It was as if Brian had simply stepped off the earth. Search dogs were brought in. They sniffed the phone, they sniffed the trail, and then, just like in the Bo Taylor case, they refused to continue. Handlers described the dog as anxious, whining, pulling back, and unwilling to move forward. These details also appear in the FOIA-released ranger summary, so this is confirmed. Whatever was up that trail, the dogs didn't want any part of it. Then they heard something. A witness came forward. A hiker who'd been on a nearby ridge around the time Brian disappeared. His statement was included in the Clackamas County supplemental report. He said he heard a scream, but not like a person, not like an animal either, something in between. Then heavy movement, fast, bipedal, crashing through the brush, then dead silence. He assumed it was a bear encounter until he learned that no bear tracks were found, no sign of predation, no blood, no clothing, nothing. The search should have found him. Over the next 5 days, more than 100 searchers combed the area. Sheriff's deputies, state police, mountain rescue teams, volunteers, helicopters with FLIR, and multiple teams of tracking dogs. They found no body, no clothing, no gear, no scent to trail, no sign he left the trail, and no sign he stayed on the trail. The KGW News report described the search as thoroughly saturated, and yet they still didn't find anything. The unofficial ranger theory was, one ranger quoted anonymously in a local trail forum archive said the case reminded him of older disappearances on Mount Hood, cases where people vanished mid-trail, dogs refused to track, witnesses heard strange screams, and no physical evidence was ever found. He said, something up there moves faster than we do, and a hell of a lot quieter. The final statement from the family, Brian's family's never stopped searching, never stopped asking questions, never stopped pushing for answers. In a televised interview, his sister said, people don't just vanish. Something happened to him. Something took him. And she's right. People don't just vanish like that. Not like that.
Dang.
What do you think about the phone being found like it was planted?
That's creepy. I mean, could he have dropped it out of his pack or something? Sure. But I don't know. That's pretty early. I mean, if he wasn't wearing any kind of headset or anything, he'd have heard that thing hit the ground.
Well, if he was listening to music, he would have noticed almost immediately.
Exactly.
Because he was running. He wasn't there for a nature hike. He was running the trail. So
Right.
it's likely that he had some music on. So if he had dropped the phone, he would have gotten out of range of that Bluetooth.
Right.
Or he could have been in the middle of changing songs or something like that when something grabbed him, and the phone was just like far enough.
Okay.
Well, they said the phone was only found a quarter mile in, but he vanished somewhere between mile 3 and mile 5.
What do you think?
How do we know that part though for sure?
I mean, did they track his running shoe tracks? His
Because it doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but it said that they know he disappeared somewhere between mile 3 and mile 5. I guess other hikers had seen him or something.
Because I'm with y'all. It doesn't make sense that it dropped out of his pack. But what to me makes the most sense is he's fiddling with his phone, looking down at it. Something grabs him, and the phone just falls out of his hand. How do you know exactly he went missing between mile 3 and mile 5? And that's not it.
Unless he's wearing a distinctive pattern, sole on his running shoe, and it just poofed. But still, I don't know, Robbie. That's a good point, man.
Because, like you said, if he had Bluetooth, he would have known, and he would have turned around and came back looking for his phone.
Right, because his music would have stopped.
And then there was the other hiker who heard the scream and something bipedal crashing through the woods.
Yeah, and it said it wasn't human, but it wasn't animal.
Wasn't an animal either.
It was in between, which is kind of strange. Oh, Miss Karen has a good point. Is that also something that could be sensed the signal of the phone?
You know, I never thought about that.
That's a good point. That's interesting.
There are animals that can sense electrical fields. I mean,
Sharks track with an EM field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birds navigate you with an EM
So,
field.
some bats.
Yeah.
can sense
And
it.
Miss Karen, I want you to know that due to y'all's graciousness, we have some people getting trained now. We did that on the giveaway last week. Don't know if y'all were here or not, but thank you so much.
Marcus Antonius says, sounds like he was stalked and violently attacked. I would agree with that.
I would agree with that.
And if the dogs wouldn't track, you know, either one, they smelled something they didn't want any part of, or it went up.
But and see, that was where I was getting at with that, DA. The dog started tracking at his phone.
Yeah.
And only went a little ways past his phone. So that to me says he was grabbed at the phone.
That would make
Well,
sense.
That's a good point, Robbie.
If they started tracking at the phone, but yet he didn't disappear to mile 3 or 5, why did the dog stop tracking at his phone or just past his phone?
Okay, so look at the question from Dr. Sharp. You can answer this.
Yeah, Robbie was a dog handler.
I don't think they would refuse to track a kangaroo. Dogs are a lot smarter than us in certain ways, and dogs know what they can't mess with and what they don't need to mess with. So if they're refusing to track it, like Charlie always told me, trust your dog. And if your dog don't want to go in, or your dog says something's there or whatever, you best listen.
Amen to that.
So I would think a dog would not have a problem tracking a kangaroo.
Yeah.
Now,
I think any animal, even if it was an animal it wasn't familiar with, I don't think it would know it to be a threat unless it is something that was, you know, like a genetic memory or something that smelled so horrifying it wanted nothing to do with it.
yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is a mix of the genetic memory. Dogs just know. They've got that sixth sense, if you want to call it that. And you know, because we know that there are dogs that track grizzly bears. They've got dogs bred to fight lions in Africa. I mean, if there's a dog breed that's going to fight a lion, you know, what is it out there that these dogs are refusing to track? How bad is whatever that is?
Right. I mean, if it's more of a tough guy or bad tail than a lion, I don't want nothing to do with a lion. I dang sure don't want to do with it. Because I know this little turkey right here, he ain't going to chase nothing but that hedgehog missile they sent him. So that's about the only thing he'll attack. And some bacon. Yeah, it's interesting because just like that guy that when I was teaching in class in Washington State, he told me that his Connie Corso, when they heard the calls alternating between them on either side of them, getting closer to them, the Connie Corso, how much do those things weigh? They 120, 130?
Oh, probably more than that. They're as big as an English Mastiff, and my English was 180 pounds.
Okay.
I was going to say upwards of 150 easy.
Yeah. So he said this big old dog peed down his leg with his tail tucked between his leg and run back in the tent when he heard them critters calling.
So they know it's something that they don't want to deal with.
That's correct. Yeah. They know something is awry.
But that doesn't rule out that it might have taken him up a tree.
Yeah.
Because that's the Pacific Northwest. Look how dense those tree canopies are.
Dude, it's triple canopy up there. It's rainforest, man.
Yeah.
Legit. You'll be in some of those areas and daylight won't even come through. I've been up in them. It's dark. Ain't that right? That's right.
Yeah, our English Mastiff Xander, when he was in his prime, he was between 180 and 190.
Yeah, I mean, and if you see 100, let's say minimum 150-pound Connie Corso, freaking pee down his leg and go into a tent and say, "Deuces,"
Yeah.
you
I'm
know
out.
what did Robbie just say? Trust your dog.
Always trust your dog.
It is time to check the old chronological device and
Oh, would you look at the time?
extricate yourself forthwith.
Well, then I keep going back to that scream and the something huge bipedal running. I think he got blitz attacked.
Yeah, could have been. Could have been more than one.
Yeah.
That's what makes me think he got grabbed. He was messing with his phone, maybe changing his playlist or, skipping a song, something with his phone. He had his phone in his hand. He's looking down. It grabs him. He drops the phone, and it took him from there because the dog started tracking there. That's just past that's where they started refusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the 3 to 5 mile thing is just something that they put in there to they might have went on in 3 to 5 miles, but I think he was grabbed right there where the phone was at.
Could have been. Yeah.
I think it's highly likely.
Either way, he was snatched up by something and he's gone like a fart in the wind. So let's expound on that. Let's talk about this, as we say, forensically even more, because we're talking about the phone. No tracks.
Right.
At least with that little boy that got snatched out of the tent, they found big humanoid tracks. But on this one, nothing. And they said it had even been raining. So there was
track trap.
Right.
There you go.
But then you've got the witness that heard the scream and the tracks. There was something out there, but it was smart enough to know where to step.
Exactly. And the fact too, they never found, just like the little boy, little Bo, they never found a single stitch of clothing from this guy. No physical accident evidence.
Right.
Maybe it was a cat person.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't know what it was, but clearly something took him.
Yeah, because like his sister said, people just don't disappear.
Yeah.
Something had to have freaking taken him. Ow.
Yeah, that was confirmed by the search and rescue logs. No physical evidence recovered whatsoever.
That's as my
And
daddy.
this was not his first time on this trail. He was an experienced runner on a trail he ran every weekend.
Who's that sound like? Julian Sands?
Yeah.
The same thing, Robbie.
Yeah, that's just like Julian Sands.
Spirit trail he was on almost every day, it said.
Yeah.
So more than likely he'd been on that trail every single day. He never had any kind of issues. He was clearly unaware of any kind of danger.
Oh. Y'all was scaring Doc with that scary talk. Bless it.
Yeah, Daddy, make him stop.
They go come get me. No, they ain't gonna come get you. You're too nervy. I mean, Lyle Thompson has a good course. Were they taken underground into a cave system?
Hey, there are plenty of caves in that area, not to mention lava tubes from volcanic eruptions.
That's a great freaking point right there, man.
Tyler, we've talked about that incident in Florida.
Yes,
we've talked about that a few times.
With the bear that ripped that dude out of his trailer.
And then came back for the dog.
And took his wallet out of his pants.
Yeah. Because bears do that all the time. They're like, no.
Freaking
no cash.
Freaking pickpockets. He didn't want to go. The bear wanted some burr.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, these are very thought provoking. And let me guess, is this an open case too, DA?
Part of it was FOIA'd. So it means at least part of it is available for share with the public, but I would say the full case files probably are not released. But it did say that the ranger notes and the search and rescue notes were FOIA'd.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's because there's nothing pertinent to a police investigation in those.
Right.
That's a great point, Miss Karen. Could have been whatever it was. They've been watching for a long time. I mean, it's just like a mountain lion. If you see a cat, that son of a gun's seen you for a long time before you saw it.
Yeah, it knew you were there long before you spotted it.
You are a wiggle worm, boy. Yeah, those things are wily.
Right. But this case here on Mount Hood, the Brian Ward case, wasn't the only unexperienced outdoorsman to vanish under impossible circumstances. Just 1 year later, in 2014, in the rugged mountains of Montana, an elk hunter would leave behind a trail of clues so strange, investigators still can't explain them. Doc, you want to take the next one?
100%. So we're going to talk about the disappearance of Aaron Hedges from 2014. And this is up in the crazy mountains in Montana. A hunter's gear was found in impossible places, boots removed, and remains where they shouldn't be. So the sources here are verifiable. The case is built from documented public and investigative sources. Sweetgrass County Sheriff's Office Incident Report, 2014 to 2015. The Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Search and Rescue logs. The Billings Gazette coverage. NBC Montana investigative segments, interviews with Hedges hunting partners publicly aired, missing 411 documentation from David Paulides, and local crazy mountains oral histories and ranger statements. Everything you're about to hear is grounded in those sources. The crazy mountains earned their name. Jagged peaks, sudden storms, deep isolated basins where sound dies and the air feels heavy. In September of 2014, 38-year-old Aaron Hedges, an experienced bow hunter from Bozeman, Montana, set out with two friends for an elk hunt. According to the Sweetgrass County Sheriff's Report, the group planned a multi-day trip, using cash supplies they had stored the previous year. They knew the terrain, they knew the weather, they knew the plan, but the mountains had other ideas. On the second day, there was a wrong turn. Aaron came separated from the group, not lost, just taking that different route to the supply cache. Now, this detail is concerned in interviews with his hunting partners that was aired on NBC Montana. Aaron radioed the others, and he said he was heading towards the cache. He sounded calm, he sounded confident, and he sounded in control. Sad thing is, he never arrived. Now, the boots in the snow was the first major clue from these search teams documented in the Montana game wardens search and rescue logs. They found Aaron's boots neatly placed. I remember hearing this story. Neatly placed side by side, sitting in the snow. Just sitting there. No feet in them, no body in them, just boots sitting there. Hunters don't remove their boots in freezing temperatures, not voluntarily, not when they're lost, and not when they're trying to survive. I mean, he was heading towards the cache. He knew what he was doing. He wasn't hypothermic, but Aaron's boots were there, and Aaron was not. And nearby, searchers found a partially burned fire ring, tracks leading away in sock feet, no struggle signs, and no signs of predation. It was as if he had stepped out of his boots and just simply walked away. Now, the cache should have saved it. Aaron's friends had stored supplies the previous year: food, water, warm clothing, and gear in a sealed barrel near a remote cabin. According to the sheriff's office timeline, he was only within half a mile of that cache, and he still never reached it. Instead, his tracks went, instead of off the path towards the cache, uphill, away from the shelter, away from the supplies, and away from safety. Why? This is one of the details that baffled investigators. Why would an experienced hunter walk uphill in socks in the worst weather? Unless he wasn't alone, unless he was being followed. And months later, long after the official search ended, a rancher found Aaron's backpack. Not near the boots, not near the cache near the cabin, not near any logical route. It was discovered several miles away in a location that had already been searched. Now, inside the pack, they found food, they found water, they found fire starting gear, and they found warm clothing. All the things Aaron needed to survive, but he still wasn't there. And the pack showed absolutely zero signs of animal disturbance. And these details are in the Billings Gazette 2015 coverage. Now, in 2015, nearly a year later after Aaron had vanished, a ranch hand found remains near a property line, a very remote property line, and DNA confirmed that those remains were sadly Aaron's. Here's the part that investigators still can't explain. This area had been searched. This same exact area where these remains were found in had been searched multiple times, trained teams, dogs, and with aerial support. And then with aerial support, they always have the infrared, the FLIR. And yet Aaron's remains were not found until a year later, after this area having been searched. This detail is confirmed with the sheriff's office final report. It was as if the body had been placed there later. Now, here's the unofficial theory from the Rangers. Off the record, Crazy Mountains Rangers, quoted anonymously in local oral history, said, people don't just walk out of their boots and wander uphill in a storm. Something scared him. Something chased him. He also said that the Crazy Mountains have a long history of strange disappearances. This certainly fits that one. Missing livestock and large upright figures seen at dusk. Screams that echo across the basins. And he ended with, whatever happened to Aaron, he wasn't alone. Now, here's the last thing we're going to talk about. The patterns don't make sense. Aaron's case contains multiple hallmarks of high strangeness, disappearances. His boots were removed. Who takes their freaking boots off? Like the Ranger said, tracks and sock feet, gear found in multiple locations miles away from where he was supposed to be, in areas that had been previously searched where his body was found. No signs of predation, no signs of a fall, no signs of a struggle, no logical survival behavior, no tracks. There were no tracks from other critters in that area too. Experienced hunters don't behave like this, not unless something is very, very wrong.
Well, who else ran off and abandoned their boots? The Dyatlov Pass crew?
Yep.
Whole bunch of them. They found clothes and boots, things they needed to survive, were right there in their tent where they just had been.
Well, this is not the first time we've talked about packs being found with everything they needed to survive.
Yeah.
So
and he was found miles from his backpack was found miles from the cache. Yeah, and from the boots. It was,
and he still had food and warm clothing in it.
Right.
Food, water, and warm clothing. Challen, that's a very good point, dude.
That's a very good point. I remember reading this whenever this had happened. This was even before we started doing the show. And I was like, why would his backpack be miles away from the boots and that be miles away from the body in another direction they'd already searched? It never struck right with me.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there was a fire ring. More than likely, he took his boots off and was drying his socks.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, Lone Queen's right. I remember when I watched this, was part of the Missing 411, The Hunters. I watched this documentary. Where they found his backpack was on a ridgeline near a fence looking over a ranch. You could see it.
God. And that's a good point Robbie just had. I never thought about that with the firing. Maybe he took his boots off to dry his socks out, but
why leave them behind?
Well, that's where I was getting to before you popped that up. He built his fire, took his boots off, sat down and warm his or to dry his socks off, warm his feet up, whatever the case may be. And he saw something that didn't give him time to put them boots on. That's why he skedaddled off up the hill without his boots.
And I'm even going to say this too. Okay, so that's a good point. But he knew where the cache was. They all knew where the cache was because they had been there. He knew he was only a half a mile. Why wouldn't he just go on up to where the cabin was, where the cache was, build him a fire there, and do all that business there?
He also had a GPS, a working GPS, and a radio on him.
Right. Again, Robbie, I'm just playing devil's advocate. What do you think? Why do you think he would stop a half a mile from his location and build a fire?
I don't know. Maybe he thought the weather was getting worse, and he was just like going to hunker down for a minute and
maybe change
warm his feet, change his socks or whatever.
Put some different socks
and then keep on going to the cabin. But in the midst of all that,
something spooked him.
Something came up it was in between him and the cache, and that's why he went in the opposite direction.
That's why he went the opposite way. Yep, that's very plausible, dude. Very
like he was trying to lose something that was following him.
Yeah, he's trying to get it off his trail.
Well, I think it came. I don't think it was that he was trying to lose it. I think it came up on him, and he took off running because if he knew something was out there and he was trying to lose it, it seems like he would have put his boots back on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Just in my mind's eye, what I see is boots are over here, pack's right here. He's got the fire right here. It comes up and it's in between him and he reaches for the only thing he can get a hold of at that time, which was his pack. And like I said, he skedaddled off up the hill and just left his boots where they were at. Just like the Dyatlov Pass, he didn't. He was like, "I'm out."
Yeah, yeah. He didn't have time to even grab the boots, like you said. That's a good point because whatever was scaring him was between him and his boots.
Yeah,
his pack and his remains were found within sight. I mean, you could have sat there and looked at the buildings of this ranch down in the valley, and they'd already searched that area multiple times.
Yeah. So, is that
to me, right? It was not a thing of, I think something's followed me. I think I might need to lose it because if that be the case, and he thought he had time, he'd have put his boots back on.
It was like something like bam. It was right up on him, you know.
Right
now, okay. So let's go. This okay, where his pack was found, where his body was found. They were found in areas that have previously been searched.
Yes, sir.
How do you, as Desi used to say to Lucy, you got some to do. Yeah. So
yeah.
Explain that one to me.
And again, when the pack was found, it was intact. It not only was it intact, it still had food, water, and dry clothing in it.
Yep. All the stuff he needed to survive.
Things that make you go,
And that's what, whenever I heard that his body was found far away from where his cache was, and it was in an area, that's what got me, was the area had already been searched.
Yeah.
So
that area is called the Crazies for a reason.
Yeah.
The locals didn't name those, let's call them the Crazy Mountains.
What do we always say? You don't get to name Devil's Pitchfork or things like that it's a place where you can go get cuddly puppies.
Harold, if I remember correctly, the skeletal remains were found, but they were more like they'd been piled there than like a natural skeleton would lay out.
What?
Yeah, the skeleton wasn't laying out like a skeleton would be. Like if somebody laid down and died.
Like a pile of bones just dumped.
Yeah, it was just like somebody had stacked them there.
Well, that's entirely unnatural as well.
Yeah.
Kind of like those bone piles we had talked about.
Right. Yeah. The Ozarks bone piles we did a show about. I still want to go find that ridge.
You ain't going without us.
No, I'm definitely not.
you ain't going without backup, brother. That's for sure.
You're right.
Me and my
that area that area is known for disappearances.
Yeah. The multiple disappearances, the screams that reverberate and echo across the valley there. I mean,
there was another one I heard about in the Crazies. I'm going to see if I can find it again and then pull all the research for it for another show. But it was two guys who were going out elk hunting, and they took horses and two pack animals with supplies up into the Crazies. And a week later, the horses came walking back in without them.
Good night, mercy day.
They never found them. Never found trace.
See,
how far from the Bitter Roots? How far are the Crazies from the Bitter Roots?
It's up near Yellowstone. All that is up near Yellowstone, man. I think
it's all in the same area.
Something about that.
I will consult the Googles.
Let's consult Googles.
Where was that other place we were talking about? Where I read the story and I said, "How far is this from the Bitter Roots?" And we thought it was a good ways, and you looked at it and said, "Actually."
Oh well, this is That's two different ranges. So
They're about 250 miles apart
Yeah.
by road.
yeah, that's a few hundred miles apart.
Yeah, so they're not super far apart, but they're still all connected by rivers and mountains. That is a very mountainous, very rugged area.
How
Yeah.
big of an area was that Echo Zone Echo?
Zone Echo, it mostly covered that valley and several miles around it.
Northwest Native Tracker says that the natives say that things live up there. Yeah, I mean, if honestly, if you look at most of the historical accounts, the oral histories of the natives through all these various mountain ranges, even up in the Black Hills of South Dakota, things live up in those areas, man, up in those mountains.
Roxanne says, do you think a person put his stuff in those places? Would Bigfoot be smart enough to spread the man stuff over a big area? I think it would be smart enough to probably leave not only the supplies, but the bones in an area well away from where it lived.
Yep.
So I would say where they found it, it's probably nowhere near where that thing took him.
Just
And
like
I think he was taken.
Just like a serial killer putting different body parts in different bags and going into different counties and distributing the parts there.
Yeah. Esbill's right. You can't ignore it when the natives say we call it the Headless Valley or we don't go there.
I mean, there's a reason the natives call it Headless Valley. You know what I mean?
There's two of them, the Nahanni Valley and the one down in the Superstitions.
And why do they call it the Superstitions?
Because there's some superstitious things happening over there.
Yeah.
There is superstition.
Writings on the wall.
Sorry.
That's right.
Oh, Stevie Ray.
Hillary says, I doubted if a booger would care about belongings. Yes and no. I mean, if they were still up there looking for that thing and parties were still going up there regularly trying to track him down, it might have decided at some point I need to do something to throw these people off before they find me. Make them quit looking.
How far was? Did it give a estimate of how far apart where he left his boots was from where all that?
Oh, it was miles. Yeah, where they found the boots to where they found the backpack and the remains, it was several miles.
Yes. And yeah,
Over some very rough terrain.
and that's what I remember reading way back in the day was like, why in the cat hair would this is, it's like, it was like a big triangulation almost. Everything was so far away. You know what
Probably
I mean?
over terrain that he's not going to walk over barefooted without getting hurt.
100%.
In my opinion, both the backpack and the remains being placed within sight of that ranch were placed there to be found.
Yeah, I mean, because if you got sock feet walking through like snow, it ain't going to take long up there to get frostbite, and then you get hypothermia, and then you're going to get dead.
Not to mention you'd cut the bottoms of your feet to pieces because those rocks up there are sharp.
There you go. Yeah. Man, I don't know. That one's really, really, really high on my creepy as crap scale.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird going on with this story.
That's a very lot of weird. Very much so.
So could it be a cryptid involved? Yeah. But in fact, I think it's most likely that a cryptid was involved. Or could it just be a simply case of that guy losing his mind? That's entirely possible. But again, like Doc was saying, he took his boots off and there was a storm going on and he walked off in his stocking feet. Ain't no way he made it far.
No.
Not between the rain, the terrain, the sharp, jagged rocks, and the snow. Hypothermia would have hit him quick. I don't think he could have made it very far.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. He was a hunter. So a serial killer is probably not going to go for somebody who's armed.
Right.
Yeah, he was carrying a rifle. They were up there elk hunting. So he had a rifle capable of bringing something down pretty big.
It was bow hunting.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. It was bow season.
But I'm gonna guarantee you, even if they're bow hunting up there, hunters
Probably had a sidearm.
can still carry a handgun because of the bear and the other big predator activity up there. So he probably had at least a 44 mag or something with him, man. So he's armed. He's armed.
I don't see a serial killer going after hunters.
That'd be the dumbest serial killer in serial killer history.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good way to get an arrow stuck in you.
Let me
Lone Queen said unless he had a suitable set of shoes in his pack that helped him keep going. It said that the only tracks they found after they found the boots were in stockings. If he'd had another pair of shoes, he'd have put them on.
That is so weird, man.
AJ says, if I recall, he had a sidearm in his pack. I think I remember that. I think he was carrying a 44 Magnum, if I remember correctly.
That is so weird. Which is what you should carry up there in bear country.
Right. Good night, S. Bill.
well, bears, mountain lions, wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. The greater North American meth head, as DA always says.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's true, man. That is woo wee.
This is a bizarre one.
I remember because whenever we were reading this, I was like, oh crap, I remember hearing about this when it happened years ago. I was like,
and I definitely think a cryptid was involved because he didn't stack his own bones.
No.
And not for nothing, if our theory holds that he was scared and that's why he took off, he's armed with a bow and a 44 Magnum. What single person that walked up on him is going to scare him into running off without leaving his boot?
Without
taking his boot. Yeah.
Right.
How are they going to scare him that bad? You know what I mean?
And I think DA just hit the point. If he wandered off, he didn't stack his own bones.
Mm-mm. Not miles away from where his boots were found.
Yeah.
Right.
And, so even if he got scared, he got addled and wandered off, he still had a full pack of food and everything. He at some point, I don't think he would have been addled enough where he wouldn't have known that he had stuff in his pack that could have helped him. He had enough sense to build a fire.
DCAT, you could tell the difference between moccasin tracks and socks because in socks you could still see the definition of the toes. You're not going to see that in moccasins.
Especially when socks get wet.
Yeah. Because the socks on feet, especially wet socks, are going to look a lot like a bare footprint with texture from the fabric.
Yep.
And that's how you can tell they're wearing stocking feet.
Yeah, walk across concrete in wet socks, and you'll see your footprint. With just
dude, I've been up there. Outline. Hey, DA, if I send you a picture, do you think you could post it?
Sure.
Or check it out. So this is the map of where his remains are. I mean, I know we got to do other stories, but this is not the only one we're doing. But this is very interesting, and it shows people where everything was done. Do you want me to send this to the chat?
Yeah, just send it to the co-host chat's fine.
Okay, let me.
And then I can bring it up,
dude. Yeah, people are gonna see this and go, holy crap. Because it shows the distance of how far everything was to where all his stuff was found. All right, it's in. So I was just looking on here to see. They found the campfire and the boots. They found the trailhead campfire, first campfire. Another campfire and remains, and everything was so far away, man.
All right, I'm bringing her up now. And there we go.
I mean, look at that.
There's the trailhead. That's where his first camp was. This was Campfire Lake near the Gallatin National Forest. Sunlight Lake was where they were heading. But up here, they found a campfire, and that's where he found his boots, and the remains were over here. And I think, if I remember correctly, that's about 10 miles.
It was, 8 to 10 miles is what they're theorizing. It was between 8 and 10 miles away from where everything was. And
the Gallatin National Forest is part of the Crazies.
Yeah, I've been up in Gallatin. Me and John were there last year. So, yeah, I just wanted to see people to see this, to show the the big difference in where all this stuff was. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, him and his friends were supposed to leave the trail here and camp at Sunlight Lake to hunt. And that's where everything just changed.
So where did they get split up at? Between the first campfire and where there's and that
I think if I remember correctly, they were supposed to meet back up at Campfire Lake and he didn't show. And then they got him on the radio and he said he'd meet him at the cutoff to Sunlight Lake.
Which is right there where that cursor is.
Yeah, so he was very close to where he was supposed to be.
Right. And when they got to Sunlight Lake, he wasn't there. And that's when they called in search and rescue. And it's way past Sunlight Lake, which it was a trail they all knew. They'd hunted up there many times. So they all knew this trail. But for some reason, instead of taking the left going up to Sunlight Lake, he continued on. And it was several miles up the trail where they found the remnants of his campfire and then found his boots.
And I just wanted people to see this. I ain't trying to derail the show or anything like that.
This is exactly what we need.
I think this is extremely relevant for people to see where he was supposed to be versus where they found different things and then found his remains 8 to 10 miles away. That's very odd.
So without his boots in that type of weather, he ain't going from the boots to where his remains was found
Negative.
On his own.
No,
because that is, if I remember the pictures of the area, that area is extremely rugged. I mean, I would be, I would not want to take a horse up there without being having to watch where you took him.
Bro, I like I said, me and John have driven through Gallatin National Forest. I mean, it's that the trees are thicker than hair on a dog's back. You know what I mean? That is some rough terrain. This is some good theories. Long Queen have a good one. The Northwest Native Tracker. Y'all are I mean, was something hurting him.
Yeah, I think it spooked him to leave until he left his boots behind, and then like Long Queen was saying, safest thing to do is let him drop.
Well, and also, what happened to that park ranger in that story we read last week? What were those cryptids trying to do? They were trying to push him to a bottleneck, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Could the same thing have happened here? You know, I mean,
there was a reason they split up. If I remember correctly, they were supposed to meet back up near where the trail split because he was going to check something on his own.
I thought he was going to the cache. He said
he may have been going to the cache, but there was a reason they split up, and it was not uncommon for them to do that. So they didn't think anything of it when he went off by himself.
Yeah, because they knew they had good comms because they had done it before.
And they actually got in touch with him, so it's not like there was a.
Mondoc, they never said if they found the bow, but I believe they did find the pistol.
That is so
I don't remember them ever mention of them finding the bow.
That is so weird. Well, me and my two friends, Mr. Smith and Mr. Weston, are going to accompany us.
Yes, absolutely. I have a couple of good friends named Smith and Wesson up on the shelf. But this was not a case of him being new to the area. They'd hunted this area many times. Clayton Plot 2280. Thank you for the super chat.
Thanks, man.
Says, Doc, you're right. I have maps. I think the maps help tell the story. And it was very, and seeing how the 411 cases match known caves. We discovered that 3 years ago, Robbie?
Yeah, I think so.
Started talking about how the maps of known cave systems lined up perfectly.
Everything, national parks, caves, disappearances, it all lines up, man. And
the third level of that is you can overlay Bigfoot sightings and Dogman sightings on top of that as well.
That's what it is. Hillary said he was going to get fresh gear from the cache. They had split on previous trips without any issues.
Thank you, Hillary. You are a wealth of information.
Richie, he says, I'd never split up from my buddies just in case you get hurt. True, but they all had GPSs and radios. So if he got hurt, all he had to do was call in. But He wouldn't even respond after when he didn't show up. They couldn't even get him to respond.
Yeah.
Marcus says, "Do you have any good stories from the Ouachita National Forest?" Yeah, we just did one just a few minutes ago. That was down in the Ouachitas
Yes, sir.
with a missing kid in Arkansas. It was down in southwestern Arkansas in the Ouachitas.
Read the Wild Hunt. That's another good story. Sorry,
I like to think so.
shameless plug.
Might be a little biased though.
A little bit. A little shameless plug for his book.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Yes, sir.
But if a hunter can be driven out of his boots and chased uphill into a storm, what else is moving in the crazy mountains? So Aaron Hedges wasn't the only outdoorsman to vanish under impossible circumstances. 3 years later, in the rain-soaked forest of Washington State, a young man on a bicycle would vanish, leaving behind a trail of clues so strange the investigators gave up trying to explain them. Robbie, would you like to take segment 5?
Sure. The disappearance of Jacob Gray, 2017, Olympic National Park in Washington. A bicycle left in the rain, gear scattered, a body found where it shouldn't be. The sources for this that are verifiable. This segment is built from documented public and investigative sources. Callahan County Sheriff's Office, Missing Persons Report 2017-2018, National Park Service SAR logs, Olympic National Park Ranger statements, FOIA summaries, Seattle Times and Peninsula Daily News, covered from 2017-2018, interviews with Jacob's father, Randy Gray, which was publicly aired, documentary on the missing 411 The Hunted, featured the case, and then the missing 411 written documentation from David Pilates, local oral history and search team interviews. Everything below is grounded in those sources. The Olympic Peninsula is one of the wettest, wildest places in the United States. A rainforest where moss hangs like curtains, where fog rolls in without warning, and where the silence feels alive. On April 5th, 2017, 22-year-old Jacob Gray left his family's home in Santa Cruz, California, and drove north. According to his father's interview with the Seattle Times, Jacob was restless, searching for something, drawn to the wilderness. He crossed into Washington, drove into the Olympic National Park, and then he vanished. The bicycle in the rain. The first sign that something had went or was wrong came from a park ranger on patrol. This detail appears in the Callahan County Sheriff's Report. The ranger found a bicycle on the side of Soul Duck Hot Springs Road. Not crashed, not abandoned in panic, just standing upright. Next to it, a trailer, a sleeping bag, a water bottle, and a few scattered items. All of it soaked in the relentless Washington rain, but no Jacob. The ranger assumed the cyclist had stepped into the woods to relieve himself. He waited, called out, checked the area, but nothing. Jacob was gone. The gear that didn't make sense. When deputies arrived, they found something strange, documented in both the Sheriff's Report and the Peninsula Daily News. Jacob's gear was scattered in a way that didn't match a robbery, a fall, an animal encounter, or a panicked flight. It looked placed. His bow was missing, his pack was missing, but the items left behind were arranged almost deliberately. Searchers said that it felt like breadcrumbs that led to nowhere. The search that should have found him. Over the next several days, search teams combed the area. Callahan County deputies, National Park Service rangers, search and rescue volunteers, tracking dogs, and helicopters were FLIR. According to NPS SAR logs, they found no tracks, no scent trail, no clothing, no sign of a fall, no sign of predation, no sign that he even left the road, and no sign that he'd stayed near the road. It was as if Jacob had stepped off the bicycle and vanished into thin air. The father who wouldn't stop searching. Jacob's father, Randy Gray, refused to give up. His interviews, aired in multiple news segments, paint a picture of a man driven by something deeper than hope. He searched rivers, ravines, ridge lines, game trails, abandoned cabins, old logging roads. He slept in his truck and hiked alone, talked to hunters, rangers, and locals. And everywhere he went, he heard the same thing. This isn't the first time someone's vanished up here. The bow found miles away. Months later, a group of trail workers found a bow leaning against a tree in the deep backcountry. It was Jacob's. But here's the part that investigators couldn't explain. The bow was found miles from the bicycle in rugged terrain with no connecting tracks. No sign of a route, no sign of struggle. It was as if the bow had been carried there and placed. The body found in the wrong place, or the body in the wrong place. In August of 2018, more than a year after Jacob vanished, a group of mountain goats led rangers to human remains near the Hoh River drainage. DNA confirmed it was Jacob, but the location raised more questions than it answered. According to MPS final report, the area had been searched multiple times by trained teams with dogs and aerial support, and yet Jacob's remains were not found until more than a year later. Just like the Aaron Hodges case, it was as if the body had been placed there.
So weird.
The unofficial ranger theory. Off the record, one ranger quoted anonymously in the local oral history said, Jacob didn't walk into that terrain alone, not barefoot, not without gear. Something moved him. He also said the Olympic Peninsula has a long history of strange disappearances, large upright figures seen at dusk, screams echoing through the valleys, hikers feeling watched, dogs refusing to track. There's that again. And he ended with, whatever took Jacob wasn't human. The pattern that doesn't add up. Jacob's case contains multiple hallmarks of high strangeness and disappearances. Gear scattered in deliberate patterns, the bow found miles away, body discovered in a previously searched area, no tracks, no scent trail, no signs of predation, no signs of a fall, no logical survival behavior. Experienced outdoorsmen don't behave like this, not unless something is very, very wrong.
Holy crap. There's another weird one for you.
Well, before we get into this, when they filmed the first of the 3 Star Wars movies, Return of the Jedi, the Forest of Endor was actually filmed in the Pacific Northwest in this area. They had to bring people in to stand guard when Peter Mayhew was in there in costume. And this is documented because they were scared people would come shoot him because they would think he was Bigfoot.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, anytime he was outside his trailer, he had handlers with him.
Well,
I have heard multiple stories about that. So this is not something that is new to that area.
We got 1 minute?
Yeah, we got about a minute till we've got to make a quick break. But Richie said, real question, do they know if they saw footprints? There's no mention of the footprints in the reports of the animal or the Sasquatch or Dogman, etc., for they found nothing. There's no mention of them finding any kind of footprints. Then if he had a Dark Angel gear, he'd be alive.
Possibly. That's funny. That was good, Richie. Yeah, Robbie, I didn't know that. That's a cool bit of trivia.
Speaking of that, there's the link if you would like, guys, to get yourself a Dark Angel kit.
Yes.
But we are going to take another quick break, hear a word of our sponsors, pay some bills. So great time to stretch your legs, hit the bathroom if you need to, refill that cup of coffee, let the dog outside to do his thing, and we will be back in just a few minutes, folks. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and like I said, we will be right back.
In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark frontiers. When the dead rise, the Ragnarok Rising Saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and man's marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of DARoberts. The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DARoberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
And we are back, folks. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We're going to jump right back into this. Boys, this one's a weird one.
It is. I got to film a new commercial. Also, this is very weird. I mean, okay, is this like an OCD cryptid or what? I mean,
Well, like it was taking something out of the pack and setting it down.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Not necessarily OCD, but like evaluating it to see if it wanted it, and then tossed it down, tossed it
More
aside.
curious than. Hey, Luca.
right.
Hey, Luca.
Hey, Luca. Right, Robbie. Which shows
Intelligent.
intelligent sentience? Yeah, man. Yeah, y'all. Check out the link that DA just put up for Luca Jacobs in the chat right there.
It's been popping up periodically throughout the show.
Yeah. She's
Richie's got a question for Doc. Does his gear have defibrillator if you need to save a life? And if it does, do you teach how to use it so you don't kill yourself or others?
no. So what Richie's talking about is an AED, an automated external defibrillator that will shock your heart back into a rhythm, basically kind of like the old Motley Crue song, Jumpstart Your Heart. Because that old boy OD'd and they had to resuscitate him. But no, AED, you can go through American Heart Association. I would recommend going to find an American Heart class near you, and you can get CPR and AED trained. And it's so that you don't hurt yourself or anyone else. Just know that if that thing says shock advised, stand clear. Yes,
Stand clear.
Stand clear and make sure you're not in a mud puddle because electricity, and it'll light you up, buddy. So
Because it may start their heart, but it might stop yours.
yeah. I've had a paramedic partner holding my belt while we're surfing in the back of the ambulance while I was administering Edison medicine to one of our patients. So yeah.
Boys,
All
kind of back to this one. Robbie, kind of reminds me of another story we talked about with a couple of fellows on bicycles.
Yep. In the LBL.
Yeah. They found one of the bicycles at ground level and the other one was like 30 feet up a tree.
Wrapped around the tree.
That's even more terrifying. How far up the tree?
like 30 feet up.
We can't confirm the exact footage though, or footage like this, not footage as in that, because shortly after DA and I read that, it disappeared.
Yeah, the story vanished.
Those
That's
things
happened many times when
They have a habit of doing that, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like the people we've talked about tonight, the story just vanished without a trace.
That is interesting. Well, okay, so
But that area had been searched with search teams and dogs multiple times where they found the remains.
And not for nothing, but did I read that right? A team of mountain goats led them to the.
Yeah, even mountain goats.
I was like,
too.
did I read that right?
I saw that too, man, and I was wondering about that because I saw Miss Lene even question a team of mountain goats.
Yeah, mountain goats let them in.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, they know the terrain, right? So,
What, Billy? Billy fell in the well again?
you know, what's even weirder to me is it's just kind of like the same thing with these other incidents with like Aaron Hedges. The bow,
Miles away.
This guy's bow was found miles away in extremely rugged terrain.
Just placed against a tree like it had just been there.
Yeah, just leaned up against a tree, and that's in the sheriff's office report, man. That's not like.
And his body was discovered even miles away from that.
I wonder if his bones were organized like Aaron Hedges' bones were.
It didn't say, but I would not be surprised.
That would be,
especially since it said that the bones were found in an area that had been searched multiple times.
Right. That would be pretty doggone cool to know about that. Yeah, that's an interesting little tidbit of information. When I heard that, my ears perked up. I was like, "Oh, this is just like that other story."
Yeah.
Yep.
Except apparently goat friendly.
You know, and these are also apparently well conditioned, experienced outdoorsmen that are doing the complete opposite of what they have known, what they know to do and been trained to do.
Yeah.
What would make them do that, Robbie? What you just said.
Yep. But you can't escape the Sarge team. SARG, Search and Rescue Goats.
Apparently.
Sarge, y'all going to put that in one of your books.
We're going to call in the Sarge team.
We're going to call in
Sarge team.
We're going to call in Sarge. Yeah. Call Sarge. Who's Sarge? Don't worry about it.
Just keep the grass out of your pockets. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's not the worst acronym I've ever heard.
That's actually a pretty good acronym, the Sarge team.
The best one I've ever seen in my career in law enforcement was we got a flash at Greene County, and if Jenkins is here tonight, he'll remember this memo. The memo came to us to be watching out for trucks coming out of Utah, and the tip came to us from, and I kid you not, the Central Utah Narcotics Task Force.
No.
So I emailed them and asked them for a patch. They never contacted me back.
No, that's
Well, some agencies
Google it; they're real.
Some agencies have a fast action response team too.
The fart team.
The fart team.
Oh my God, I want to see their patch. Lynn Parsons has a good point or good question. Do any of these stories say whether there were chew or cut marks on the bones?
It didn't say, but this one does say there were no signs of predation or struggle. So I guess that would include bite marks or teeth marks on the bones.
Yeah. She said there are goat mountain packers for street terrain. Yeah, whenever I was backpacking up in the Wind River Range, the only people we came across, they had alpacas with them that were alpacking.
So why would he? We're just throwing this out there. Why would he leave his gear like that? Why would that make sense for a person to do that? That the bike was just parked there, like its kickstand was down and his stuff was like randomly scattered.
You know, the part
Well,
about
he wouldn't have done that himself, I wouldn't think.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
Maybe the part about him stopping to relieve himself was might have been closer to the truth.
Stepped into the trees and wham!
And never stepped out.
Right.
Lone Queen says, were the bones found under a big tree, one that could hold a really large predator and prey? The bones might fall out in a pile. Or been, if I remember correctly, just like in the case with the old boy up in the Crazies, they were found in rocky area. The one in the Crazies was found just under a small bush. But these were supposedly this guy's remains were found in a rocky field that had been searched.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The area's already been searched and they found the remains where it was.
Well, they should have brought the Sarge team in quicker.
You ain't got no sense, boy.
I'm just saying, you know. Like Eric said, the Sarge team is the GOAT.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, that's good. We have too much fun on the show, folks. Back to being serious.
The bones and the bones and the bow being found in totally different areas. That one still kind of sticks with me. That bone was the bow was deliberately placed like that.
Dude, it was placed up against a tree, like leaning
right, just
tree.
waiting for somebody to walk up on it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like it was like just tossed out beside a tree, laying there. It was leaned up. What natural creature? A deer ain't gonna be leaning it up against a tree.
No, definitely not.
Neither a bear or a cougar either.
A bear, absolutely.
Or a wolf.
Yeah.
So do you think it was following him while he was on his bike, or just he happened to pick the wrong place to stop, stretch his legs, and take a leak?
I would say option 2.
I think he parked that bike, got off to either get a drink or stretch his legs or to take a leak, stepped in the woods, and
bam, he was
but
gone.
you know, it could be a combination. It could have been watching him too, and he just happened to pick the wrong spot to stop.
Exactly, Lone Queen. Then we can deduce that they must have been carried to the place they were found. That's the only logical explanation.
Right, because that area had been searched multiple times over not just one time of searching, over a period of weeks, because this guy's dad kept going up there and kept searching those areas on his own.
Exactly. I mean, I would say Colonel Mustard in the library with a lead pipe, but I mean, that's a great deduction right there. That's a clue reference for those of you who've never played the game. But I mean, just like Aaron Hedges, his bones were found by a rancher in an area which had been previously searched, as well as his backpack. In
an area that was within sight of the ranch house.
Right.
So they were placed in a spot where they would be found.
Right.
Yep.
What do you think about the ranger's comment to the people? The ranger said, "Whatever took Jacob, it wasn't human."
They have prior knowledge, just like all these other. All these rangers have this prior knowledge. They've been there. If they've been there long enough, they're going to know the stories. They're going to have their own experiences. And I think, going back to Aaron Hedges, I think the bones in the pack and everything being placed within eyesight of the ranch, I think that was a message.
I think they're put there to be found so people would quit coming up there and looking for him.
Correct.
Whatever was up there was getting tired of people coming up there poking around.
Really? Yep. Like leave me alone.
Which leads back to what we talked about earlier, Doc.
Sentience. Exactly.
It knew that's what they were looking for, and it gave them what they were looking for, so they'd stop coming up there looking.
Yeah, that's a solid point, Robbie. I do concur with your assertion there, Jedediah.
He said he thought I was right.
The part that really sticks to me is the ranger flat out saying whatever took him wasn't human.
Well,
that's the first time we've heard something like that either from a ranger.
No, every story we've talked about that had ranger involvement, what do those rangers say? Yeah, we knew about this. Yes, this is not the first one who experienced this. Yes, these things have been here a long time. Yeah, it wasn't human. I mean,
Or they look at the destroyed campsite and go like, "Yep, raccoons."
Giant raccoons.
giant raccoons from a nuclear power plant. You know, I mean, we've heard the same theme ad nauseum. I mean, dude, it's these dudes know stuff. Hey, thanks, Clayton. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Clayton.
Teenage Mutant Jiu-Jitsu raccoons.
Clayton says, "What would your commanding officer do if you guys told him you'd seen a Bigfoot type creature and you had track evidence? Would they do anything?" Now, I could say unequivocally that Joe Mahan would be like, "Cool, let's go find it." My old chief, Joe Mahan, would be 100% on board. He'd be like, "Please don't put that in the report, but let's go find it." But the sheriff's department I worked at, you'd have been on the quick path to peeing in a cup.
Yeah.
Tracks or no tracks.
I don't have a CO.
Well,
Or a filter sometimes.
My old chief was in the chat earlier. I don't know if Rodney was here, but he would have probably said, "Well, go find it then."
Yeah. You bring more than a footprint, go get it.
Yeah, if it had been my old military superintendent, my old CO, yeah, he was down. He'd have been down for an adventure. So, yeah. Yeah, Northwest Native Tracker. Depends on the commander. Dude, you are so 100% correct. You might get reassigned to that surveillance station in the Antarctic.
Guess who's going to the listening post in northern Greenland?
Crap. This guy.
Robbie, would you lead us into segment 6?
Surely. My phone decided to go to sleep, so give me a second to open her back up.
Rodney says he would have went too.
Yep. Just what I said. Rodney'd be like, "Come on, let's go find it."
Get in the truck.
All right. Jacob Gray's disappearance shook the Pacific Northwest, but it wasn't the last time an experienced outdoorsman vanished under impossible circumstances. Just 1 year later, in the forest of Idaho, a hunter would make a phone call that ended mid-sentence, and then he was gone. DA, take us into segment 6 if you.
This is the disappearance of Michael Heron. Happened in 2018 in the Caribou-Targhee National Forest in Idaho. Hunter calls home, the call cuts off, and he's never seen again. So the sources, these are verifiable sources. This segment is built from documented public and investigative sources, including the Teton County Sheriff's Office missing person reports from 2018, Idaho Fish and Game Search and Rescue logs, local news coverage from East Idaho News, Idaho State Journal from 2018 to 2019, interviews with the Heron's family, publicly aired, National Forest Ranger statements, FOIA summaries, missing 411 documentation by David Pilates. So again, this one has been profiled, so it meets those criteria. Community search team interviews and local oral histories. Everything that follows is grounded from those sources. The Caribou-Targhee National Forest stretches across the Idaho-Wyoming border like a living wall of timber and shadow. Steep ridges, dense stands of lodgepole pines. I'll say that eventually. And valleys where sound... Yeah, no kidding. Valleys where sound disappears and the air feels heavy. On September 23rd, 2018, Michael Heron, a 51-year-old experienced hunter from Driggs, Idaho, headed into the forest for a solo scouting trip. According to the Teton County Sheriff's report, Michael was preparing for an upcoming elk season. He knew the terrain. He hunted it every year. He was confident, skilled, and well-equipped. He told his wife he'd be back by that evening, but he never made it. The phone call that cut off came around 4:30 p.m. Michael had called his wife. This detail is confirmed in both the sheriff's report and the East Idaho News. He told her, "I'm heading back now, should be home soon." His voice was calm, normal, nothing unusual. Then mid-sentence, the call just cut out. Not dropped, not static, not fading, just stopped. His wife tried calling back, no answer. She tried again, went straight to voicemail. Within the hour, she'd called the sheriff's office. Deputies located Michael's truck at a remote trailhead, and this details appeared in the Teton County search and rescue logs. In the truck, they found his lunch, his thermos with still coffee in it, his maps, and his extra gear. Everything was neat, organized, and completely untouched. Outside the truck, there were no tracks, no drag marks, no sign of a struggle, no sign of any kind of animal encounter. It was as if he stepped out of the truck and disappeared. The gear didn't add up, though. Searchers found Michael's bow case about 200 yards from the truck. Not dropped, not thrown, not torn, just simply placed against a tree.
Dang.
A few yards later, they found a glove, then a water bottle, then nothing else. These details are confirmed by the Idaho State Journal in 2018. It looked like a trail of clues, but the trail didn't lead anywhere. The search should have found him. Over the next week, more than 70 searchers combed the area. Sheriff's deputies, Idaho Fish and Game officers, search and rescue volunteers. They brought in tracking dogs, helicopters with thermal imaging, horseback teams, and more than a dozen drones. According to the search and rescue logs, they found no tracks, no scent trail, no clothing, no body, no sign of a fall, no sign of predation, no sign he left the trail, no sign he even stayed anywhere near the trail, as if he'd been lifted off the ground and disappeared. The dogs, however, had a different story. Handlers brought in multiple dog teams. They sniffed the truck, they sniffed the bow case, they sniffed the glove, and then, just like in the Brian Ward and Bo Tyler cases, they refused to continue. Handlers described the dogs as anxious, whining, pulling back, and refusing to go forward. This detail appears in all the FOIA released ranger summaries. Whatever was in those woods, the dogs wanted no part of it. Then a witness came forward who said he heard something. A hunter in a nearby drainage reported hearing something strange around the time Michael vanished. His statement appears in the sheriff's supplemental report. He described heavy, fast bipedal movement crashing through the brush, followed by sudden silence. He assumed it was another hunter, until he learned that no one else was in that drainage, and no tracks were found. But that forest doesn't give any answers. Weeks passed, then months, then a year. No body, no clothing, no gear, no signs of predation, no signs of a fall, no signs of foul play. Just absolutely nothing. The Teton County Sheriff's Office eventually suspended the search, but the case is still open. Probably why you can't FOIA all of it. It's still listed as unsolved and unexplained, and the forest is still dead quiet about it. But the unofficial ranger theory, off the record, quoted anonymously, obviously, he said, Michael didn't just get lost. Something stopped him mid-sentence, something fast and something close. They also said that the region has a long history of strange disappearances, large upright figures seen just at dusk, screams echoing through the timber, hunters leaving the area because they felt like they were being watched, and dogs that refused to follow trails. He ended with, whatever took Michael, it wasn't a cougar, and it damn sure wasn't a bear. But here's the pattern, like Doc was saying, the pattern that doesn't make sense. Michael's case contains multiple hallmarks of high strangeness disappearances. Call cut off mid-sentence. That enough is weird. The truck was found completely untouched. Gear was found in deliberate patterns. No tracks, no scent trail, no signs of predation, no sign of a fall, no logical survival behavior exhibited, and the experienced hunter acting completely out of character. People don't vanish like this. Not without help, not without force, not without something taken.
Dude, this is like the third experienced hunter.
Right.
That's just completely out of character, off base for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they never found a trace of this guy.
I mean, not even a bone or nothing.
Yeah.
And, the way the dogs progressively started, sniff the truck, sniff the bow case, sniff the glove, and then like, nah.
Nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Once they got to that, they were like, no, because if something placed those items there, it would have had to leave its scent on there. And they were like, yeah, that's strong enough for me to say, no, thank you, sir. And I've been up in that area. And that is we were there last summer. John and I went all through that Idaho, Wyoming, Gallatin area. That's some rugged freaking terrain, dude.
Yeah, I've driven through that area. That is some very rough terrain.
Yeah. That's terrible. That's terrible. That really is. I hate hearing that. And like Robbie said too, earlier, the families can't ever get closure on this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, the really weird part about that is the phone call that ended mid-sentence.
Oh, that's so bad. That's so terrible. That is so terrible.
Yeah, it's bad enough or hard enough for them to find, to get past it, even when they find the remains, because you still have no clue what happened. At least you have the remains that you can bury and have that.
Right.
But you still have that. But for those that have no remains and still have no answers, that's
sad, man. It's so sad. I mean, and the whole thing, the truck, nothing touched the truck.
Right. Well, and there was plenty of gear in it.
Right. Plenty of gear. Yeah, Luca, the Tetons. Oh my God. I saw them finally in person last year, and it was a beautiful place. Breathtaking.
Larry, if it was a UFO abduction, it doesn't explain the bow case. It doesn't explain the gear that's left on the trail. They would just took him and been gone.
It's like they said, it was like breadcrumbs. But
they never found his cell phone either.
There's nowhere it could have gone, and the breadcrumbs, the trail just dropped off and into nothingness. There was no tracks. They didn't find any tracks of him or anything else. No predation tracks. What about the scent trail? If there obviously was a scent trail, the dogs were just like, screw you, I ain't going.
Right. Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah. Y'all can go pound sand, kick rocks, nerd. I ain't freaking tracking nobody. Sorry.
How many times, how many cases have we read that where the dogs tracked up a certain point and they were like, nah, I'm done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly, Chad. That was the same thing. Him being cut off mid-sentence, he was attacked when he was on the phone.
Now, every case we've talked about tonight, the dogs either picked up nothing or absolutely refused.
Yeah. If they did pick up something, they're like, yeah.
And
you track it.
I think you're right, Doc. He was attacked mid-sentence, but he was attacked fast and hard.
Dude.
He didn't have time to yell, scream, anything. It just stopped him mid-sentence.
Yep.
Kind of like
a big open hand slap from behind.
Yeah. Arkansas hunk hunter Dan puts me to the mind of the old Winchester rifle. Right, there was an old 1873 that was found against a tree a while back. I want to say it was in Arizona or New Mexico, somewhere out here in the Southwest. Makes one wonder if perhaps it was put there much like these long ago. Could have been. I want to say that was in
Jeremiah Johnson. He found that rifle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But if I remember correctly, that was gripped in the icy body of a dead dude, though.
Yeah, it was that dude up in the hills. Yeah, up in the mountains. Yeah. But
Northwoods. That's a good question. There are Thunderbird sightings all over the western United States.
Yeah, I mean they had one. There was one even recorded in Tombstone in the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm. Hillary, I will see if I can make that happen. Maybe not the dog teams that tracked this, but I might be able to talk to some people I know that have run tracking dogs that are part of search and rescue here in the Mark Twain. Because I know a few people that have had some weird experiences, nothing they wanted to go on the record about or nothing they could even really describe. Just weird places out in the Twain where the dogs were like, nope, time to get in the truck.
You stay out here if you want to. I'm waiting in the truck.
Right. Marcus Antonius says, what is a thunderbird? In Native American beliefs, it's often described as like a giant eagle, like massive eagle, and sometimes it's even described like a remnant pterodactyl. The ones that they see out in the Four Corners area are often described as looking like a pterodactyl.
That's the ones that I had heard about in Arizona, the pterodactylish looking ones. They actually attacked a couple of cowboys way back in the day, and yeah, that was carried one of them off. Dun dun dun. Sorry. Yeah, that's interesting, man. So why do y'all think these dogs, even though there's no physical evidence of a struggle or anything like that, Robbie, I mean, you're the tracking guru here. Why do you think these dogs are just refusing to track? And not only this case, but not only just the cases tonight, but multiple cases we've talked about. They've just absolutely said no when they'll track a freaking bear or a lion or something.
I think it's like we talked about. It's just they know, and it's whether it's like you said earlier of genetic memory or whatever it is, they understand that whatever this is, it's not something that is a normal predator
should be messed with.
Right.
I mean, seriously, maybe like you said, their genetic memory, they smell that scent and they take that scent in, and they're like, "Oh,
something in
this."
their brain, you know, the dog says, "I don't want to proceed to the FO part of the FA."
Exactly. This is way worse than way bigger than we're gonna track.
That and a dog's sense of smell is so much more powerful than ours. We have no idea what they gather from a sense of smell, from their smell. They might know exactly what that thing is simply by the smell.
Night, Miss Lene. Hope you feel better.
Good night, Miss Lene. You get to feeling better.
Yeah, that's exactly it, DA. That's what I was just like, man, these dogs, they live. And Robbie's even said this, dude, they're jonesing. They're like, whoa, let's get out of here. Let's get out of this kennel and get to tracking. Let's do it, man. But if something like that says, nah, and goes back in the kennel and says, screw you, I ain't coming out, you better pay heed.
It strikes me that, again, in this case, that the dogs wouldn't track and there was zero physical evidence.
Right.
Other than the few discarded items on the trail and his bow case leaned up against a tree.
They didn't need physical evidence. All they needed was this.
Right. No. Well, and it reminds me of that hunter that old man that disappeared amongst all of his friends and family in these areas. Remember, all they found was his rifle up against a tree. And he was gone.
Here's the thing.
He was older, but he was also a ranger in World War II.
Yeah, dude, he was tough dude, man.
These dogs are not constrained by this. They don't have these misconceptions. Oh, you know, people will call me crazy if I say I'm not going to track this, or that I said they know what they smell, and what they smell is something that they don't want to have anything to do with, and they're just not going to do it. They don't have that dilemma that we have of, well, that's not true. We don't. You're crazy if you believe in that. Right. They smell it. They know it's not something that
to them tracking is instinctual. It's just what they do. They don't have any preconceived notion, no prejudices like we have as a human being. Because
here's a thought: humans have the uncanny valley, right? Who's to say dogs don't get something similar when they smell certain scents?
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I mean, if all that's true, then, you know, dogs, we would have had domesticated wolves at that time to protect us at that time, and they would have had that same genetic memory because they would have been right there with us. So if that was something that was going on, you know, that's something that's moved on from generation to generation.
Rodney's got a good question. Says, why do you think the evil and aggressive cryptids are not tracked and destroyed? We surely have the means to do so. I think they are. I think that like my wild hunt books, I think there really is a team out there that hunts these things down when they cross a certain line. If they're picking off stragglers out in the deep mountains, the government probably doesn't care. But when they start taking out, multiple people from near residential areas, I'd say that's when crap comes in. Like in the North Carolina story, where that family got wiped out, and the family got wiped out, and the sheriff called it in, and they sent in a team of Navy SEALs to hunt those things down.
Yeah,
Open your window and ask the bush outside your window if.
I think that I might need to. This might be tinfoil hat territory, but I think they're weaponized, dude. I'm 100%.
I think some of them are 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think they all are, but I do think.
No, I don't think they all are, but I think some of them are weaponized, dude. Honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Our government has used animals as weapons before. I mean, dolphins and killer whales have been trained to attack divers and to plant mines.
Right.
I mean, they've weaponized rabbits.
They weaponized bats in World War II.
Yeah.
It's the holy hand grenade.
Oh, Lord, bless this thy holy hand grenade.
Count this down to 4. 5 is right out.
Just a rabbit.
Sorry. I've got a T-shirt with him about to launch the holy hand grenade. So I have to wear it.
I love that show.
That's a great
That movie is awesome.
Great movie. No, but it's all a good theory.
Right. But these are 6 disappearances, 6 cases that defy logic, training, and every rule of the back country. But then you look at them together, and we start seeing a pattern that becomes very tough to ignore. The wilderness is supposed to be a place of beauty, a place to hike, to hunt, to breathe, to escape the noise of the rest of the world. But tonight we kind of saw the other side of it. 6 disappearances, 6 people who walked into the American backcountry and never walked back out. A college student on a well-traveled trail, a child pulled from a tent without a sound, a runner who left no footprints in soft ground, a hunter who walked uphill in socks as if something was chasing him, a young man whose gear was scattered like breadcrumbs in a rainforest, and a father whose final words were cut off mid-sentence. These weren't accidents. They weren't wrong turns. They weren't people who just got lost. These were removals. And when you lay the cases side by side, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. No tracks, no scent trails, no blood, no bodies, at least until they appear in a place miles away that's already been searched. Gear found in deliberate patterns, dogs who refuse to track, witnesses hearing screams that don't sound human, and the same phrase whispered again and again by rangers, deputies, and search teams. This wasn't normal. Something is moving through our forests. Something fast, something silent, something strong enough to take a grown man down without leaving a mark, something smart enough to avoid detection, something that knows the terrain far better than we do. And whatever it is, it's still out there. Right now, in the dark, between the trees, watching the trailheads, listening to your campsites, waiting for the moment when somebody steps just a little too far away from the firelight. Because the truth is simple, and it's terrifying. People don't just vanish. Not like this. Not this cleanly. Not that completely. Something's taking them. And until we understand what that something is, the wilderness will keep its secrets, and it will keep taking. This is the Nightmare Hunters, folks. Stay alert, stay aware, and if you feel eyes on you out there, don't just assume it's your imagination. Because sometimes the ones who disappear never even knew they were being watched. And sometimes the forest doesn't give them back.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was awesome. I love the patterns that we're seeing evolve in these stories, guys. I really do, because I think that really cements it for everybody else out there that, hey, we're not just pulling stuff out of midair.
Right.
These are actual patterns you can see, and if you can follow it, man, it's pretty cool, man. It really is.
And folks, some things we got some note keeping we got to take care of here at the end. We'll hear a couple quick words from those affiliates who keep the lights on here. Doc, how about you tell us a little bit about the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical?
Why, certainly, sir. I would be more than happy to do that for you this glorious evening. Folks, if you head over to darkangelmedical.com and use the coupon code Cryptid20, that's 20% off of your order. You can find a wide variety of trauma kits. We've got some new stuff coming out. We've got some new stuff in the works of development and prototyping, and so we sell anything from smaller trauma kits all the way up to your mass casualty kits, kits for your car, kits for your boat, kits for your European shoulder bag. And more importantly than that is we teach you how to use it, because we are a big proponent of training, because if you are armed with information, you can take something, maybe exploit your environment and utilize something else as a possibly viable replacement. So training is key, and we have online training. We have training on YouTube. We have training videos there, and we have our training calendar set up on our website. And so if you click on the training tab, you'll see the classes that are there for this year. More are going to be added. So get that kit, get trained, and be the difference, because you never can prepare enough for that eventuality. And I say that from my own personal experience, to do this over 30 years. And if you want one of those kits, you're like, man, I ain't got the money right now. Hey, we do Sezzle. So use Sezzle. PayPal, we got you, dog. Because if you want to do pay over time, no worries. If you got an HSA or FSA account, that's cool too, because we got HSA or FSA available. Everything's is good for our website. It's approved there. And if you ever use one of our kits, guess what? If you save somebody's life with it, we'll replace whatever you use 100% free of charge. That's called our Kit for Life Guarantee. And right now, there's 211 people out there walking around with another birthday because of an idea that this redneck from Route 2 Seminary, Mississippi had about 15 years ago. And I am pretty doggone proud of that, because you cannot put a price on giving somebody another birthday. Because what do we pack into bags and boxes, guys?
Birthdays and boxes.
Birthdays and boxes, baby. That's what it's all about. And we got you, man. So we appreciate y'all if you stop by and visit this disabled veteran-owned small business, because we are a very small company. You see the warehouse staff right here, but we have a very big heart, and we appreciate each and every one of you. So get a kit, get trained, be the difference, baby.
And don't forget to check out the good folks over at Sigwo Arms. Sigwo was our newest affiliate. They're a company right here from Springfield. They're a firearms manufacturing company. They make some fantastic stuff. If you're looking to get some Wild Hunt or Dark Frontiers logos on an upper or lower, those are the folks that can take care of it for you. And they've got fantastic deals on Whisper Pickles, aka suppressors, and Freedom Seeds as well. They manufacture their own in-house and pass the savings on to you, so you can get some really good deals. So check out SigwoArms.com. Tell the Codys we sent you, and you're really going to like it. And while you're at it, head over to scallywagtactical.com and check out Craig and the boys. Scallywag Tactical's was one of our first affiliates. Doc was the first, and Scallywag came right behind him. And I mention them in the books a lot because they make fantastic blades. And a good knife is probably one of the greatest things you can have on hand in a bad situation. Because it's such a versatile tool, and they've got every knife you could possibly want or need. So check out SigwoArms.com. Don't forget to use discount DARoberts10 for 10% off your order. And I forgot to mention the discount for Sigwo. Use Bigfoot5 for 5% off your order. And if you mention that you're a veteran or a first responder, the Sigwo will bump that up to 10% off. So check them out. Check out Scallywag Tactical. And Robbie, since you got a brand new book out there, how about you tell us about the authors who are so much a part of this channel?
Well, you got these two and myself here that Doc's is about to come out. I got my newest one out, which is DA's just popped up, Wild Hunt Shadow Hunters, Project Manticore. DA's got Devil the Rabbit Rope is out, but he's currently got two more that you're pretty close on. Probably getting close to halfway.
I'm over halfway on both projects.
So
excellent.
be coming pretty quick. Doc is in final edits for his first book, and it's really nice, Clark. Really nice.
Thank you, Clark.
And I am over 10,000 words into my next project, which is going to be following up on Heart of Iron with for DA's book. And I've got another one that I'm a little over probably 38,000. The one that DA likes to hum a certain tune. Also, while you're checking out the three of us, you want to go check out Luca T. Jacobs. She is a friend of the channel and a personal friend to all three of us. If you like the covers for our books, that's where we get them from.
Luca's awesome.
She does an amazing job. She not only does she do that, but she helps Doc and I with formatting and all that stuff.
So our books sound more gooder.
But also, like DA said many times before, you could take her books and set them down in the middle of all three of our books, and they would fit right in to our universe.
And they're very well written. She's a fantastic writer.
Nicole Beretti and Jacoby, and they're great characters. And she does that. That is one of her stories are great, but one of her strongest asset her strongest thing, in my opinion, is her character development. She writes characters that you just can't help but get invested in. And, like you can't read a book with Nicole Beretti in it and not pull for her, because she's just one of those characters. She's like the way I've thought, she's like a female Clark. She's just one of those characters that you're just like, yeah, go. It just, you can't help it. So I think she's just released her newest one about the it's about the chupacabras there in Texas. Yeah. I can't think of the name of it. I can't either. I just lost it. But anyway, really good, and she's working on a couple other projects too. So she's got just released 13 and is working on 14 and 15 or something like that. So
it's Killing Fields of the Chupacabra.
That's it. Go. I knew it had something with chupacabra in it, but I
was looking for it whenever you were talking about it, man. So yeah.
And she writes really good books. Just check her out. Like I said, she's one of my favorite authors, minus the two sitting here.
Oh, shit.
And folks, all three of our books, well, actually soon to be all four when Doc's book is out, they'll all be available in Kindle, print, and in audio formats. So whatever method you like to enjoy your stories in, they're all there for you. So again, lucatjacobs.com or amazon.com, DARoberts.net, and the soon to be coming nightmarehunters.com. Check out any of those, and you can find all of our books on Amazon. Make sure you're leaving a review for your favorite authors, because especially with independent authors, reviews drive sales. Even if it's just enjoyed the book or good book, it doesn't have to be a big review. Just leave something, because it does help. And when you're on Amazon, you can follow your favorite authors on Amazon, and that will allow you to get notifications as soon as they release something. So go by any of our author pages, give it a follow, and check us out on Facebook. And we love hearing from you guys. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Stories are journeys that we take together, and we're thrilled to death that y'all chose to take these journeys with us. But I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't talk about something that is very near and dear to me, and that's the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. Go to mission22.org or odmp.com. ODMP is Officer Down Memorial page, and you can see the toll that's taken on our veterans and our first responders every day. So if you've got friends and family that are veterans or first responders, reach out and let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care, because you never know when that text or phone call might be the one thing that keeps them off the edge that day. Because these men and women are dealing with PTSD and bad memories and painful memories. And sometimes they need help. And for those of you who are dealing with that, remember, there are outlets, there are sources that can help you. You wouldn't go into combat alone. Don't face this alone. Don't let the demons win. Don't let the hard days win, because at least 22 times a day they are. So again, reach out to your friends and family. Let them know you think about them. Let them know you care. And let's get 22 a day down to 0 a day where it needs to be. So we are going to wind things down with a toast. And it's something I'm pretty happy about. We've been doing it for a while, and I hope to always do it. Let me get my hat off here. And Doc, you want to take us out with the toast tonight?
Absolutely. This is from the Irish drinking song called A Parting Glass, and it goes something like this. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Thank y'all for being here with us tonight. See you next week. Slán Jabá.
Slán Jabá.
Plains, the winds are howling, saloon doors swinging, shadows growling. 3 lawmen stand tough as rawhide. Yeah, Doc and DA, nothing can abide. Whiskey shots and poker faces, staring down the darkest spaces in this town where legends roam. These boys bring justice, sending evil home. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Jed's a howler, claws of steel. Doc's a biter, makes the devil real. But DA's a shifty one, a shape-shifting soul. Can turn to anything, takes any form, takes control. Tonight the chupacabras come to town, sucking the life from all around. But these lawmen, they ain't afraid. They'll face the darkness unafraid. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Full moon rises, bat wings flap, the air grows cold, a chill and trap. But these lawmen, they're ready to fight underneath the pale moonlight. Jed and Doc transform with a howl. DA shifts, becomes a night owl. Together they stand, a force so strong against the evil right in the wrong. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night.